Hello. Okay, I think I have finally succeeded in actually going live. That is good. Uh, just letting people know. Oh boy. Okay. Oh wow. There's nothing quite like being a genius. I was in the gifted program as a child. Very bright young man with a promising future. And and I can see you guys in the chat. It's all coming together. Hello, everyone. Hey, Bowser. I'm sorry. Polly is being taken care of because she is lovely, but she has very little patience for games that don't involve bouncing a ball around. Though I imagine she would not mind chasing a die. Just a little reminder for anybody who has somehow missed it that tonight we're going to have a tabletop role-playing game session. It'll be Theater of the Mind. We're not going to have like Roll20 with maps and tokens and stuff. We just want to keep it easy breezy, and so someone could possibly enjoy it as an audio recording later. But yes, thank you all so much. I'm so happy we got this working, and I will be less dumb with our future live streams. Hey, maybe I should put my microphone close to my mouth so you can hear me better. That's probably a good idea too. As you can imagine, when you're organizing something as big as this, there's a lot to do, and you can get a little frazzled and make silly mistakes, as I apparently absolutely just did, where I couldn't figure out why this live stream wasn't going live, and it was because I hadn't pressed the on button, aka the going live button, or go live button in StreamYard. Oh, well, this is why they pay me the little dollars. Anyway, so yes, what's on the docket tonight is I'm going to talk a little bit about the crowdfund, and then slowly but surely between now and about 7:30 EST, I will be joined first by Joseph of Raven's God Games, who will be running our game tonight of the system called Reaver. And then, we'll have a fun little game, and that'll be pretty much tonight. I think that's enough for launch day. Otherwise, I'm just going to say thank you all who have pledged, of course, and shared and looked at the crowdfund. Work on these issues begins like 6 months or more before we actually get to the point we're at right now, and there'll be a lot more work ahead. But I think it's going to be a good time. I'm just so happy and excited to see everyone's enthusiasm. Last I checked, we were at something like, oh gosh, what were we at? Let me look at my little spreadsheet here. Yeah, last I looked, we were at about 65% funded, which is great for this time. It's not even yet been 12 hours since we launched. So I'm feeling really encouraged by that, and I'm really hopeful we'll be able to unlock all kinds of fun stretch goals, like double art. Who doesn't want twice as much art in the magazine? We've gotten that every year of the magazine so far, so I'm optimistic we will get double art once again, and you guys will get to enjoy two beautiful pieces of art per story, or four in our longer ones, such as Molly Tanzer's new Jarell Ajori tale, which will be in issue 5 of the magazine. So that's very exciting. And then the second stretch goal, which we unlocked last year, and I hope to do again, is an international shipping discount, knocking $5 off of Canadian shipping and $10 off of international shipping. So the rest of the world, that is very exciting. And then, of course, after that, we really believe strongly here that everyone involved in the magazine should benefit from its success. And so as a result, every single stretch goal from our third one onward after the shipping discount will be an author pay raise, and then an artist pay raise, and then an author pay raise, and then an artist pay raise. Author, artist, forever. There's literally no cap on those. We will just keep raising the roof on the pay for our creatives as long as y'all are pledging dollars that we need to do that. So thank you very much. This has been very exciting, and we're not even like a full day into it. I can't wait to see what happens over the course of the next month, which will be, I hope, as we've done our best to make it in previous years, a party. I'm a big believer that crowdfunds are an opportunity to have a good time, and I hope you'll all join me in having that good time together. So, I see in the chat here, bless you, Aleph, saying, now here's a fun thing. Let's see if Oliver can figure out how to show a comment. There we go. Yeah. So bless him. Yeah, homie, I worked on video stream software for 11 years. That kind of thing happened to us all the time. So very kind, very kind. Our author, John Olfert, will be joining us on stage for the game soon. He was in issue number 4 and can confirm the best stretch goal is the author and artist pay raises, I'm sure. unless it means another one, but I'm going to go with that for now. Yeah, and as he also says in another comment, we will be playing Reaver. You can spell it with as many R's as you want, but traditionally just one at the beginning, one at the end. I don't want to tell you how to play the game, but that's, I think, how it goes. Otherwise, yeah, as I mentioned, there's been calls for me to show Polly. Polly, the short-haired fox retriever, will probably Terrier will show up at some point in the crowdfund. I feel that's inevitable, but not tonight. Yeah, okay, let me see. Hide that comment. Oh, I'm doing all this stuff myself. It's amazing. Okay, so what I should probably do at this point is I'm going to bring on Joseph. But if at any point you want to check out the crowdfund, all you gotta do is look elsewhere on the page. If you're watching this, you're probably seeing it in like the video thumbnail kind of thing at the top of the crowdfund. But if you're watching this later at somewhere else, just go to BackerKit and search for New Age Sword and Sorcery. I promise you we're the only one. And look for the one for 2025, the year we are currently in, or so I am told. But yes, okay. So, I've got a question. Sorry, I'll quickly answer that, and then we'll get Joseph on stage here. What do we got? We've got, how do you select artists for the stories? I see rare submissions. What goes into the art choices? Okay, cool question. So I, of course, might be a fan of the written word. I might enjoy stories, so no shade on that side of the thing when I say I love art direction. I love choosing who to work with. I love pairing artists with different stories and articles, and sort of the collaborative effort, that results in taking, those sentences the writers give us and taking a few of them and turning them into like evocative scenes in stories, or, fun add-ons to articles. So we don't do open calls for art, not right now, but I must admit, don't abuse it, please. But our DMs are open on Instagram and elsewhere. And once in a while, an artist just says, hey, I would love it if you consider me for the magazine. Here's a link to my portfolio site or my Instagram, my ArtStation, my Kara, all those things. And I go look at it. And, if it's my jam, I put them on a list. And then when it comes time, usually around August, I start thinking about this for the fall a bit more seriously. I go back into my Excel file with a big long list of artists who I thought were nifty, whether I had them submitted to me directly by the artist or a friend recommended, or honestly, I find 95% of the artists I end up working with lately, I find them by just tripping over them on Blue Sky, because I like Instagram, I like other sort of art heavy platforms, but where I hang out most of the time, being who I am, is on Blue Sky, and there's a lot of sharing of artists on there, and it just kind of works out. I mean, our cover artist for issue 6, Goran Gligovic, should practically have an art director credit because he shares all kinds of great stuff, and I think there's at least 5 or 6 names I've grabbed from there, to consider for 2026. But yeah, so that's how it goes. We don't have a submission process per se, but if you say hi and you're not a jerk about it, and send me a link, I'll check it out. And then otherwise, I just kind of find stuff, like I say. And then I actually haven't done it yet. I have 1 or 2 stories maybe because they really suggested a certain artist style. But it probably won't be until we hit 100% funding, which is the only time I am comfortable asking the artists to work on their stuff, because we've got lots of stories written at various stages and edited at various stages right now, because, hey, heaven forbid the crowdfund failed, they could take those stories, the authors, elsewhere and sell them, but the artists can't do much with, art for a specific story, for a specific magazine, if the magazine doesn't go through, right? So I don't ask the artists to do anything until we hit 100% funding. And we're getting there. Like I said, last I looked, which was a little minute ago, now we're at 65%, and day 1 is not even over, not even close to 24 hours yet. So I'm feeling confident. I'll be telling the artists, hopefully sometime soon, hey, let's get going here. And when that time comes, I will have to make choices about who I pair with which story or article. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that answer. Yeah, let's get the game situation rolling here. So I'm going to hide that comment. Hey, I figured out how to press a button. Always good. And Joseph, brace yourself, my friend. You're about to come on stage. All right, here we go. Let's see what happens.
Hello.
Hey, man. Hey, we got the Reaver background. I'm actually doing it. It's working. It's happening.
That's awesome, dude. Thank you. Yeah, it looks great.
I'm very proud of myself, and I will put this on the fridge later somehow. But yes.
Yeah. This new technology is always difficult, man. But yeah, it looks great.
Yeah.
Looks great.
But yeah, okay. So hey, so welcome. Obviously, you're here tonight. We've got pre-made characters. I am a ridiculously busy buffoon, so I haven't chosen mine yet. I'm going to ask you as a GM. What is the simplest character for dummies like me? What is it if someone's like, well, I'm going to say dummies. I'm a dummy. I'm going to say other people, they're not dummies, but maybe they're brand new to the game. Maybe they haven't even done a role-playing game before. Some systems you don't necessarily want to throw at them like a complex spellcaster class if they're fresh. You know, I find most games it tends to be the fighter, but you know, with Reaver, what would you suggest for myself and anyone else who's like fresh to it?
Yeah, anybody
maybe,
new to Reaver is, I mean, the fighter is probably the simplest character, like you said. Kind of by design. Like for me personally, that's usually where I jump in when I get a new game, or
Okay.
you know, fantasy game at least. The barbarian is pretty straightforward. The difference between them, there's a number of like martial classes in the game. I mean, it's a sword and sorcery game. You would imagine there'd be some fighters. Uh, the fighter is very much sort of like a technical fighter, like an expert soldier type character.
Okay, so like properly trained, has some sword
Yeah,
moves. Yeah.
yeah. The barbarian is more like a wilderness warrior. They're not a berserker. That's a different class.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but they are more mobile. They're like a mobile fighter that's good at dealing with like crowds. That makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the fighter is probably an easy choice, or the barbarian, like I said.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our secret Discord channel where you very kindly posted characters what feels like a month ago, because that's how long the last few days have been as I've been struggling to prepare here.
I feel you.
And out of our character names, who would that be? Who would it be by the barbarian, or if there isn't one, a fighter?
So the barbarian is, wow, I think it's Walamir.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the barbarian is Walamir, and Eurybia is the fighter. She's an Amazonian fighter.
Okay, I have a sneaky feeling that one of our players that are coming on tonight, folks, one of our authors, Steve Westenra, may have taken
Steve is taking
Walamir.
Salome.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So if Walamir the barbarian is free, I'm gonna grab that.
Okay, that sounds good.
I mean, what am I doing if I'm not playing a barbarian as the SNS publisher here? So what I'm gonna do then, I got my little download here, nice little PDF. Thank you. And maybe what we'll do, as we still have a few minutes for players to show up. Oh, wow, this is very cool. Okay, so all right, folks, I'm going to now walk a new technical tightrope. I'm going to see if I can share the character sheet with you. If I accidentally show a picture of my dog, I apologize, but also you're welcome. It's a picture of my dog. So how do I do this? Settings, general. Oh boy. Can you do it, folks? Oh, present, of course, present. All right. Present and share screen, slides, and PDFs. Oh, nice. I can add it from my computer. Perfect. All right. I'm going to grab the character sheet. Folks, you're hearing in real time, Tired Publisher figures out simple technology, but it's going to work out. It's going to benefit you. I promise. This is all for you. And actually, while we've got me fiddling with buttons, Joseph, if you want to field a question here, you can handle definitely better than myself. We have, how does Reaver differ from other sword and sorcery TTRPGs?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so obviously there's a bunch of sword and sorcery games, right? We have all the Conan games. We have Barbarians of Lemuria. We have Hyperborea. So many good games. What Reaver does, it's built initially off of traditional games. It was originally a kind of like an old school D&D style game. And as I developed it, it just became something entirely different. What it does differently is that my focus on it is to be less, I guess, gonzo, for lack of a better word, less fantastic and more focused in like historical grit. It's very much Bron McMorn in its feel, which I don't feel like we get in a lot of existing games.
Yeah, people tend to lean more towards like your Conan, and as you say, the kind of gonzo thing, like DCC, you know, it's a bit more gonzo.
Right. And I love those things. I'm very clear.
We can enjoy many flavors. It's okay, man. I understand. We always do that dance, right? Where it's like, I don't hate other things, but I like my thing. It's all good. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where it's at. Rules wise, you will see things in Reaver. You'll see things tonight that you will recognize from other games. Very much. Barbarians of Lemuria, for instance, uses like a career system. It's front loaded. BOL is front loaded. So you get your, I think, 3 careers right as you create your character. In Reaver, I wanted a progression. It's a class-based system. So you get 3 careers over the period of your character's life, basically. So, you know, some people will knock like, well, it's sword and sorcery, it shouldn't be class-based. I've heard that before. And, you know, I get that. We think about Conan. He doesn't really have a class. He's kind of everything, right?
Yeah, over his life, he's like a thief, he's a fighter, he's
Right.
a mercenary, he's a king. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever the story needs for
Yeah.
Conan. So like in Reaver, the class, well, you have a number of things that create your character. One is your ancestry, which basically indicates your cultural background. The setting of Reaver is very broad, with basically cultural backgrounds inspired from like everywhere from West Africa to Asia, almost. Um, so you have your ancestry, you have your class, which is kind of the core of your character. It kind of dictates like how you approach the world, how you solve problems, and what your core role is. And then your careers, as you get them over time, are very much like your kind of your occupational background, so to speak. Occupation in air quotes, because assassin or whatever.
Yeah, right. You don't put. I don't have a business card that says assassin on
Yeah,
it, but that's what
right.
I do. Yeah.
So what it allows you to do in Reaver is that if we take, I don't know, just Conan for instance, say Conan in Beyond the Black River. He's a barbarian as his class. He's a Sumerian as his ancestry, and he's probably a scout
Yeah.
as a career. He's probably a mercenary as a career, um, and soldier possibly, or hunter. He's very very wilderness focused in that story. Um, yeah, so you can build a character that is very diverse in its background and its abilities. Somebody asked me recently if they could play like a fighter mage type character, and there is a class. It's the magus. It's basically a fighter mage. But
Okay.
if you don't want to go with the class, you can play a fighter or a barbarian or a rogue, and take a career that is like a pseudo magic user. You get like just a couple of spells, or maybe you can use scrolls. You know, yeah. So there's a lot of different options in it, and hopefully people like it.
I have a question. You mentioned, it kind of rips a
Sure.
little bit off old school D&D, but depending on people's experiences when they were younger, what is old school to you? Is it like
Mhm.
BX? Is it like third ed?
Oh,
You know,
sure.
what kind of old school feel do you feel you wove into Reaver
Well,
when you
you
were a kid?
mentioned that you started when you were 11, and I think I started when I was 11 or 12, 1986, 87. Right.
Hmm.
So I started with Menser Basic, the 5 books, the 5 boxes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, After that, I pretty quickly moved into like AD&D, and for a long time we played like a weird mix-up of first edition, second edition, because we didn't really know. It was just all kind of worked together.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I've played every version of D&D. I've played, and when I say old school, to answer your question, I really do think of those kinds of games.
Hmm.
Once I got into like the OSR movement, I really fell in love with Swords and Wizardry and White Box specifically.
Hmm.
Super simple, really easy to get into, really cool to teach kids with a
Yeah.
simple system like that. But I've played all the games: Pathfinder, Palladium,
Yeah, well,
Marvel. You
I
know,
mean, you want to have a lot of stuff going on. You could.
yeah, yeah. You know,
And I love the OSR, the old school Renaissance. I think it's really cool, but I didn't really play D&D until much later in my life than most people do. When I was 11, I was playing like everything else. I was playing like the
yeah.
very old school Alien RPG, of Robotech RPG,
Oh, Robotech, yeah, heck yeah.
Mech Warrior, and eventually I kind of like found Shadowrun, and that was my home for a long time. Call of
Mm,
Cthulhu, blah blah. It wasn't
hmm.
until I sort of got my except for one half aborted game of third ed somewhere in my 20s, I don't think I really played D&D proper or anything like D&D in the OSR sphere until
Wow.
kind of my like mid to late 30s, when I found Beyond the Wall, that one about like where you play a bunch of
Wow,
kids from
yeah,
the same
that's a
village.
really great game. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like a great start. And then now, funny enough, all these years later, just as of like middle of last year, I finally got my hands on the old school Essentials boxes. And so
Hmm.
essentially now I'm playing, the update
Yeah.
to the classic BX and loving it.
Yeah.
But it's like, I feel like I did it backwards, I feel like I should have
Yeah,
had BX or something as a kid.
yeah, totally. That's like an odd route to take, man. Yeah,
It really is, but it's been kind of
that's
fun
cool.
because it makes me like get to be both an old hand to RPGs and a complete like new, oh, this is fun, kind of
Hmm.
thing with like the D&D or D&D like systems.
Yeah,
It's kind of a weird mix, but I feel kind of blessed. But anyway,
totally.
so and coming into Reaver here, like I said, I'm really intrigued. Obviously, I might like Sword and Sorcery fiction. I don't know if I've expressed that in any way.
Maybe it's all right.
Yeah. No, the magazine's a real grind. I hate it. But so I'm very intrigued to see how our game will go tonight in terms of like weaving narrative, you know, and yeah, I mean, without further ado, I should probably get the players on here. I can see we've got Steve and Christopher ready. John, I know you're kind of in the chat, but if you want to set yourself up ready to come on stage, that'd be helpful. And while you do that, well, I'm going to see if I can take advantage of my incredible technical finesse for there. And I'm going to put, there it is. There's the character sheet. So nice. Let me see. Can I? Yeah, okay. I'm not going to press any more buttons for fear of full screen layout. No, we got that going on. Okay, I think that's like reasonably legible, at least for like reading through it. So Joseph, why don't you kind of just briefly walk us through here, like what's a Reaver character sheet like, and when you need to, I'll turn the page.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of the look of it, I think, is hopefully easy to follow. You have your basic attributes at the top. 6 attributes, like in a lot of D&D style games, they're renamed. But instead of having a score or a modifier, you have a die. So I believe your brawn is really small on my screen, but I believe your brawn's a D10. And you'll see that it's listed twice. It's in black and red. That's because your dice can be degraded if you take some kind of attribute damage or what have you, and then it can be healed later. I don't really foresee that happening in this session, but that's a thing. So at any rate, you use your die if you have to make what we call a feat. This is not a 3rd edition feat. This is a feat, an attribute feat. So if you make a feat of brawn, you want to lift a boulder or throw something really heavy.
Okay.
You're gonna roll your die. The basic rule of the game is called target 4. If you roll a 4 or higher on your die, you succeed. The only time that is challenged is in the case of like an opposed roll. The most familiar would be like sneaking versus like perception. So like an NPC might also have to be rolling, and then it's just a roll off, and the high roll wins. Moving down, you have your feat proficiencies. Every class has 2. Whenever you make, I think, a feat of brawn or a feat of stamina, you're going to add 1 plus 1d to your die. So you have a d8, d10 brawn with your plus 1d. That's going to move up to a d12. And in the center of the sheet, you can see the die chain.
Yeah, that's really smart having that there, because even though we all know our dice, when you're in the heat of the game, you know.
Absolutely. I've heard that from a lot of people. They can just look at it and say, okay, I'm moved down 3 or whatever. So you can see it there. You would move up to a d12 and just roll a d12. You have your character image and like some physical statistics. Your hit points. I should note that this is not finalized. I think I'm going to rename hit points to vitality or something. At any rate, hit points work like hit points work. Your shadow and your corruption are linked. It's mostly a thing for sorcerers and priests who cast black magic spells or use magic in general. They can gain shadow through casting, which in turn can turn into corruption if they get too much of it.
Okay. So and they might eventually. So corruption, we're talking. You know, they're eventually going to get some tentacles and things going on.
Well, interesting you say that. My corruption is, again, DCC will totally do that. Like you'll turn into like a tentacle monster, right? Reaver doesn't really do that, but you will get like maybe modifiers or personality changes. You'll be forced to be greedy. Or
okay, so in terms of RPG,
more narrative.
In terms of role playing, it's more like you know, hey man, that guy's changed. He's been messing with magic for a couple of years. You know, I used to like him, but now
now it's kind of no, absolutely. And there are a few things where like you might just get like wide staring eyes or something strange, but nothing that's going to be entirely inhuman.
Right on. So that fits with the Bran McMorn sort of model, which, by the way, for anybody watching who's like, I've only read Conan, Bran McMorn is one of Robert E. Howard's other major characters. Strongly recommend you check him out. Set in a sort of fantastical version of our world, but yeah, definitely not like what you call Gonzo. So anyway, back to you, Joseph.
So corruption's a thing. Again, one shot. You guys don't need to worry about it. Resolve is your narrative currency. And I shared with you guys a chart that kind of like describes like how you can use it and the effects that you can get with it. Just for some examples, you can spend 1 resolve to improve any one of your die rolls by plus 2d. So in the case of your brawn being a d12, you can move that up to a d16. right? If you had
Okay.
perhaps you had some penalties against you, wanted to try to make it work. Another thing you might do with it is if you're in combat, and you're in melee with somebody, and you want to try to take them down. You want to ignore defending yourself. You just attack them back as they attack you.
Mm,
It becomes a
yeah.
roll off. So they roll and you roll. Normally they don't do that, and there could be an effect there. Those kinds of things. You can use it for magic as well. Let's see here. Moving down, we have defense. Question.
Oh no, just saying. Okay, yeah, that sounds cool. As you were describing that, I was kind of imagining like, yeah, when like two guys just like leap at each other with their swords, they're obviously not
Exactly.
worried about defense. You know,
Exactly.
yeah, it's a way to go hard. All right, sorry,
Yep.
please continue.
So defense, again, represented by a die. Shields and whatnot will raise it, but yours is a D8. So if you're attacked, I don't have to roll any dice. I say you need to defend yourself.
Okay.
If it's a particularly strong opponent, I'll say you might have a -1D or -2D to that die roll. Otherwise, you roll. If you get a 4 or higher, you've defended yourself. If you roll a 3 or less, you've taken damage. Armor gives you damage reduction. I don't think you're wearing armor, actually. I think you're just
no, man, shirtless barbarian. Why would I do that?
That's right. I mean, that's what's in the picture. I mean,
yeah, no, I can see damage reduction says 0, so yeah,
yep.
It's all good. But if I had it, I take 5 damage. I got 3 damage reduction. I take 2 damage.
Exactly.
I'm guessing.
That's it exactly. Minimum of 1. So if you hit an enemy, you're always going to do at least 1 point of damage.
All right.
Then you have your attacks, and again, it's a die roll.
Yeah,
there's a few modifiers there. It's pretty straightforward. Looks like I didn't fill in your ranged attack for whatever reason.
I don't think I have one. I've got a great axe, a dagger, and unarmed. So I could throw my dagger, I suppose.
Yes,
but that's just 1d5 damage. That's whatever. We'll figure that out.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, and then the other side here, I see it's got a nice summary of my class abilities, which is definitely helpful. I always appreciate that in games, having a summary on the back. I played Rogue Trader for a long time, and I really enjoyed it, but my character had like 19 abilities even at first level, and I had to make my own reference sheet, and just, it was nice to have it on the character sheet. So smart move there, bud.
Totally.
And then,
thank you.
yeah,
Your career.
I got my brawler. Yeah.
Yep, and then your equipment on the bottom. We do use like the usage die from the Black Hack, if you're familiar with that.
Let's pretend I'm not. What would be the usage die?
So the usage die. Well, I'll describe the control die because it is a little bit different. So in Reaver, it's called the control die. For things like torches or kind of like unpredictable depletable resources like light, or in other instances like ongoing damage or some spell durations, we'll have a control die each round or set time period. So if something is like C control D control die 5, so you would roll a D5. It might be like CD5 minutes or CD5 rounds. At the end of that, each time frame, you would roll that die. If you roll a 1 or 3, that die degrades to D4, and then once it is below a D4, then it's extinguished or used up.
Okay.
Again, I won't worry too much about those.
We're doing a one shot tonight. I'm sure we won't get too lost in the rules, but it's interesting to hear about these little differences for people who might want to check out the system later.
Absolutely. Equipment I don't use like pounds or anything. Every character, based on their stamina, can carry a number of encumbrance slots, and that's what you see on the right side there. I think it's 18.
Oh, that's good. That's nice and simple because, like I say, I'm playing, the update of BX, and it's fun to have encumbrance to force you to make decisions, right? Like you're getting out of the dungeon, and it's like, oh, geez, I can carry more gold, or I can carry my friend to safety. But when you're getting too granular with it, we all know this. It slows down the game when you're like, wait, how much does my length of rope weigh? So just having slots, like I think that's a good move you made there as well, right? Keeps it nice and streamlined.
Yep. So there's for the spellcasters, they have a third sheet that describes like their sorcery die and their spells.
Okay.
But kind of in a nutshell.
Walk through there, and people can get the quick start rules for free or pay what you will, folks. Give us some money, but yeah, you can get it for free if you so desire from Drive-Thru RPG. Just go there and search for Reaver. It's real easy. Can't not find it. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do another piece of technical wizardry. Hang in there. Hold on. This is going to be nuts. I'm going to remove the character sheet from the stage. And then I'm going to see, I see I've got Steve and Christopher. Steve has a cat, so Steve's going to come on first. Hi, Steve. Feel free to unmute. And how else are we going to learn the name of our visitors? But Jesus, that was such a cat move.
Yeah. Well, my cat was like standing above the mouse, and I have my pad turned off because it's super sensitive. So I had to like reach under the cat to like turn the sound off.
All right. Well, hey, Steve, thanks for joining us. Really
you.
cool that you made the time. And I'm sorry, I'm having a moment. I can't remember. Are you in Montreal or the Maritimes right now?
So I am in the Maritimes now. Yeah.
Right. You moved because Awesome. Okay, so we have some more Canuck representation, folks, and across different parts of the country. I'm in filthy Toronto, the city everybody loves to hate. Yeah, I know, right? It's like everybody wants to visit, and lots of people love to live there, but also everybody outside hates it. It's kind of like the London, England of the country, or the I don't know if New York or LA is the right one for the States. Maybe both.
I definitely have you beat. I'm in the States.
but yeah. So it's kind of nice to get representation from outside of Toronto. Yeah, all right. And what's Steve? Just for fun, what's our furry visitor's name here?
Oh, sorry. What's his name?
Yeah, what's his name?
Dante.
Dante.
Yeah. All right, well, he won't take us to the 7th level tonight. Yeah, all right.
Big cat.
He's large.
Yeah,
he was just about to knock something off the table, so I had to grab him. But
so he's a cat. Perfect. He's been standing over the mouse. Like, it's all that's up. All right, cool. So let's bring in our next player to the table, which I'm seeing John still getting set up a little bit there. So I'm going to grab Christopher Rao, who is another American fella, amongst other things. Hi, Christopher.
Hi, Chris.
Hello, it's Christopher, and the last name is pronounced Rowe, Oliver.
Well, you know what? Why would I know that? I've only been corresponding with you for, I think, 2 years now. And I've only had you on at least one previous live stream. So please, very rude of you to assume I would learn things or retain information. Anyway, so good to see you got, what was that, Red Stripe?
Yeah.
Nice. God, I used to have those all the time. I gotta find those again. But yeah, all right. Christopher, actually, no, we'll do characters in a sec. First, let's do players. And I can see, looks like John is all set up, so I'm gonna perform my last bit of live stream wizardry by bringing in our 4th player for the evening, Jonathan Olfert. Hey, buddy.
How we doing? I'm John. Pronouns he or they. I'm in Atlantic Canada also, and my character for the night is. Have we reached that stage?
No.
But you know what? Hey, man, kick it off. Who's your?
Go for it.
Yeah.
All right. As a longtime player of rogues, once upon a time when I had more time to game, I chose Gaius, the Thraxian rogue. Gaius thinks he is a magic man, and you see, I saw this very interesting feature in here to be able to give my resolve points to people. So if you ever see me do that, it's attempting to be a magic man. We'll see how
Sweet.
All right, so we got Gaius the Rogue, and I'm Walamir the Barbarian, who I am intimately familiar with, having looked at the character sheet for hours before tonight, as you saw. But I mean, I'll fumble my way along. I think it'll be a good time. So why don't we go around the table here? Steve, who have you chosen to play for us tonight?
So, not that I guess it will matter to anybody here, but I'm actually going kind of against type, and I'm playing for the first time, basically, since I was like, 11 maybe or 12, I'm going to play a female character. So I'm playing Salome. She's a sorceress, and she's also a former entertainer. She's what I guess my partner would call in his lectures an evil sexy lady.
So, terminology here. Yeah,
it's very technical. Yeah, I mean, my partner does like slides like evil sexy ladies in film, and then there's like 6 from Battlestar Galactica, all that jazz. Yeah, so pretty good. But I thought about playing Volomir, but I was like, I don't know if I can sustain that character for the entire game. So.
Well, now I feel like I got to step up my intensity as I play. Yeah. All right. Cool. So we got sorceress. Sorry?
Oh, the sheet also said like crap in combat, basically, and I was like, perfect. I just won't do that. Awesome.
Do you find when you role play, you tend to shy away from combat and do more like the other aspects of the game?
I tend to do more role playing, I guess. So like, and I was really excited to see that Reaver is very much a role play heavy game. So like that was really good. Like I like when I've GM'd in the past, like it's always very like there's not that much rolling. Like it's mostly just people playing characters.
I love that
The last
stuff.
game, yeah, the last game I played was like Dream Askew, which I don't know if anyone's familiar with, but it's like very much like it's like a communal storytelling game basically, and like I was always very into freeform role playing. So like, yeah.
Cool.
Right on. All right, and Christopher, who are you playing with us tonight?
My name is Chewbacca. I am a scout. I'm lean and muscled. Now back to the character.
Yeah. I don't even getting those farm work
I don't
muscles.
think that I did the homework as well as other folks did. It's been an interesting week. I had a farm related emergency today. Everybody's all right.
Good.
And when I actually never played the Modiphius Conan game, but I have all the books electronically, and I kept trying to build a character that was a scout, what my vision of a scout was, and then eventually they came out with a scout book. At that point, it was too late to ever play. I have a history of this, actually. I have in Pathfinder, I once created a character that was a triple multi-class, and it turned out to be, really crappy at 3 different things. And
as usual.
Yeah, and but I was trying to create this kind of like detective type character, and then they came out with it. They came out with exactly what I wanted after I'd gone through like 9 levels of being at best moderately okay at some of the things I wanted to be okay with.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chewbacca, his origin is Nimbian.
That's right. Yeah.
Did you guys talk about the world and stuff before I got here?
No,
not too much. No.
Okay, well, so I don't know that much about it either. But I don't think I wear armor because I'm groovy and I can move around real good and stuff. My favorite thing about my character sheet is that I have a quiver of arrows but no bow. So if anybody needs 24 arrows,
now you got it.
This guy right here.
You have a hunting bow on the front of your sheets.
There's a bow on the front of my sheet.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even. I was looking at the equipment list because dagger and short sword are on my equipment list.
Yeah, I should have put it back there too, but that's my failure.
Yes, sir. You should have.
You have to like stab somebody with an arrow though now, right? Like you just have to at some point in the game.
I'm going to dual wield.
Throw one like a really powerful dart.
Because I can dual wield light weapons. Presumably, arrows are light weapons.
I would think so. Yeah.
So yeah.
It's a full arrow that's mechanically a dagger.
Like chopstick.
Yeah.
Anyway, he will develop a personality over the next hour or 2.
Right on.
Awesome. All right. So yeah. Now it's your call. You're the GM, Joseph. But it feels like probably we should just go into the scenario rather than maybe try to outline like all the characters and all the setting stuff because we're just doing a little sample game here.
Yeah, we don't
no need for the Silmarillion of Reaver. I think
you get me talking.
Wait, does that exist? I was not provided with the Silmarillion of Reaver.
No,
all right,
not yet. Yeah, first I just want to thank you guys for joining, and to Oliver, thank you for inviting me to do this. I think it's awesome. I hope it's a good time for everybody. To jump right in, like I said, we'll go over the rules as we play. You guys will learn with everybody else. And I think I mentioned in our chat, it is kind of like early spring. You guys have been traveling eastward along the Iron Road, You've come down out of a pass through the Volcarthian Mountains, and it's nighttime. You guys have made a camp. You have a fire going, maybe like a little pot of stew cooking there. Just kind of sitting around. The moon has come up. The sky is very starry, so there's a lot of moonlight. It's Gibbous moon. Off to the west, you can see the Volcarthian Mountains kind of rimmed in sort of like purple. You can just kind of see them out there. And you're just you're kind of relaxing for the day. You guys can tell me what you're doing, how have you set up your camp?
Well, I'm the barbarian. I'm the more wilderness guy, I suppose. So I feel like if I had any say in it, because we have no clear leader, and I'm sure that will never result in conflict. But presumably, I maybe would have gotten the fire going. Maybe Christopher and I have different opinions on how to do that, how to set up the camp. But just something simple with us sitting around it, and maybe one of us keeping watch. Probably me wandering around the circle. Everybody else chills with their stew. Do we have any goal at this point other than just survival? Is there anything sort of in our heads right now, like, oh, we got to get to so-and-so place? Or
you guys are on your way to an area of the map. Basically, it's called the Eastern Reach, and you've heard in your travels that the Eastern Reach is kind of a place of kind of lawlessness. Basically, it's a place where kings vie with barons and chieftains. It's a place where adventurers and mercenaries can earn a name and some gold. So you're basically traveling there.
I'm going to concede to Oliver's barbarian the wildernessy stuff to get the camp going. I have just realized that Chewbacca has long believed that he has the ability to tell the future, and so he is going to use his divination technique, which is similar to the I Ching. He's going to take 24 arrows and he's going to throw them on the ground, and the patterns in which they fall, and which way the heads and the fletchings are, and how they overlap and everything. I'm going to study those, and I'm going to tell everybody what's going to happen tomorrow.
Okay.
John, you're letting.
I want to get. The Miracle Man would like to spend a point of resolve if that is a thing that can happen at this point.
Yeah, don't waste it. He doesn't have an ability.
Well, okay,
so
all right.
Christopher,
I'm sorry. I thought this was collaborative storytelling, but
I'm going to ask Christopher what's going to happen tomorrow.
All right, let's go. All right, we are going to briefly continue to travel. Look here. Look at the way these two. Look at the way the fletching on this arrow and the head of this arrow are both pointing northeast, and they're almost exactly parallel. Almost is crucial. Okay, almost is key. If they were exactly parallel, we'd be in trouble. Okay. Now, what this tells us is that the meaning of where we are going does not actually match the factual part of where we're going. That means that what we are going to do, the significance and importance of it to us is not what it actually is. The spirits and the gods of nature have a plan, but they are not yet revealing it to me. I may have to pick up all these arrows and throw them down again.
Gotcha. You were the worst guide ever. If only we had a fox to help us navigate.
So, John, what are you doing? What's Gaius doing?
Gaius, the Miracle Man, is I think setting some tripwires. He wants a good night's sleep and wants a little jingle if something gets too close.
Oh, okay, I like that. And Salome, what is Salome doing?
Well, she's got her imp, the fennec fox, who's taking the form of a fennec fox, and she's just kind of, sitting, lounging against a rock and like stroking her fox as one does. Maybe she's playing with a few of her coins. She doesn't have gold, but she's got, some copper, some silver, a little bit of that. She's twirling around her fingers. And she's watching what Chewbacca is doing with great interest and entertainment, and is considering what whether or not she ought to pay him for these, wise observations.
No. No, I can never take coin or any kind of financial or physical remuneration for my abilities. All right. You know what that leads to? That leads to bad arrows. Okay. I would never shoot one of these arrows, obviously. But if I were to, in certain heightened circumstances, choose to offend the very spirit of the world by shooting an arrow, then you can pay me.
Yeah, my barbarian hearing all this is just leaning back and being like, such superstitious nonsense. I thought that was my thing. Just doing math and actual jumping.
Not sure what he's saying. It's religious delirium. Something we can work something out, long.
So some time passes as you guys are you're chatting, you're doing your thing. You have your meal. Maybe you probably mostly bedded down. Maybe you're just still kind of sitting up. And I think Oliver and John both give me a feat of intuition. John, you're going to do a +1d. So let me find.
All right, I got a d6 on that. So
you're yep.
So I'm rolling a d8 on this.
A feat of intuition for Gaius is going to be a d6 +1 is a d8. That's correct.
Okay.
All
right, I swear by Crom, I got a 3.
Okay.
Ooh, a 2.
A 2. Okay. All right. So you guys, you think it seems very quiet. It's a very quiet night. Like I said, there's a lot of stars. There's a lot of trees around. You're kind of in like a bit of a grove, basically. And the region is a kind of like foothills. A lot of rocks and things like that sticking up. The road itself is cobbled, and you are basically camped like right by it. And you felt pretty secure and everything. And you put up your tripwires, and you're pretty confident that those would alert you. But you hear a twig snap off to your right, and before you all know it, 6 men step out of the shadows, basically surrounding the camp. They're all within about 10 or 15 feet.
That's my least favorite amount of men. Sorry, go on. I don't trust it.
They're a strange mix. So like one is maybe he's like kind of clean shaven and like got a really clean set of hair, like a haircut and etc. Kind of dressed like an aristocrat, has a nice tunic on, while another one is kind of brawny. He's got like a thick beard, and he's wearing like a leather apron, almost like a smith or a butcher would wear. He actually has like a pitchfork. All of these men are just kind of like, they look a little bit different, right? They're dressed differently, so they're different social status, what have you. They're all armed differently. 2 of them have spears. One of them has just like a hatchet. The one guy has a pitchfork. And there's a 7th man who kind of like steps out behind them. He is wearing a leather cuirass, just like an armored shirt, basically.
He looks a bit more professional.
He looks more professional, and he's got a short sword and a spear. He has a short sword on his hip, and he has a spear and a shield. And he says, before you guys are like reacting and standing up, what have you, he says, "Where is she?" And they're all brandishing weapons at you. What do you guys do?
Even as the arrows foretold your coming, I will cast them again and find the location of this missing woman.
Okay. He's like, "Don't touch those arrows."
Sir, it's not that I touch the arrows. It's that the arrows touch me.
He looks confused. He looks very confused. What about everybody else?
He always just takes what the other person says and flips the sentence around. No, no. Nobody here heard me say that.
I would like to sneak, if possible, into the gloom because it's past sunset.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely it's dark. Your campfire's there, but it's kind of dying down a little bit. I'll let you do that. They do they're all kind of like around your camp.
Sure.
But like I said, there's trees and whatnot. I'll let you. You can definitely try to sneak. It'll be a -1d since there's there's people around.
Cool. I have +1 to agility feats.
It's
So
going to
does
be a
that
feat of
count?
agility. That would cancel that.
Okay.
Let's walk through it actually. So
Okay.
you have a D10 agility with a +1 to agility feats because you're proficient with it. So that's a D12. You
Yep.
also have your thievery skill, which gives you another +1D. That's D14. -1D for the penalty I gave you gives you knocks you back down to a D12.
D12 it
That's
is.
why for the viewers.
Yeah. Love it. And I'm rolling a 12.
Oh my goodness. Okay, you're amazing. So that's actually like a
It's
critical.
miraculous.
I know. It's miraculous. You are pretty confident that you, as these people are like stepping out of the shadows, and Shabaka starts like kind of like getting their attention, you just slip between two of them underneath like a pine branch, and you're kind of like in the wilderness.
Thank you,
Steve. What is Salome doing?
So I was thinking, this is sort of her thing. So I think I'm gonna try enchanting the mind on this guy, which is
Okay.
one of my spells. Is that possible?
Yes. So magic is obvious. Okay, so they will know that you're doing something.
Okay. Oh dear.
There are I will say there are psychic spells, but enchant the mind is not one of them.
Yeah.
So it's a risk for you. If
Okay.
I mean, these guys kind of look like maybe they're farmers or villagers, so they might not really know what you're doing. It might be a chance, so it's up to you.
Oh man, maybe I should just do a sexy dance instead.
I think they'll see that too. Maybe that's the point. Yeah.
That's an option.
Man, I'm gonna do a sexy dance. You know.
I mean, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to provide some rhythm by beating my
There we
mighty
go.
heads.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, more of a sort of like, I'm gradually moving a little closer. I'm doing a little hand action.
Okay.
I'm sort of like, hey,
Yeah.
guy.
So your goal to like basically like sneak up on them? Like
Not so
get
much
close
sneak
to
up,
them?
but just sort of like loosen him up a little bit, so maybe he's like, okay, I can talk to her.
Okay.
She's doing a sexy dance. That's always a good thing.
What I want you to do then is give me a feat of presence. Your presence is basically like your force of character.
Awesome.
You have a D8. You're proficient. You get a +1D. You're D10.
Yeah, so I've got my electronic dice roller, and it does have a D8, and I don't think I have any bonuses to that, right? Or
You get you're up to a D10 because you are proficient with presence feats.
Nice.
And I think that is it. I think that's it.
All right, let's see. So I am gonna chance it and roll that. Let's see, and I got a 10.
Oh my god, awesome. Okay, I'm gonna say that some of them are like kind of like one really surprised, and then two, some are like, oh my goodness, like they're not taking their eyes off of you. And what is Wallamir doing?
Yeah, Walmer's just kind of watching everybody else and being like, "Damn, what's I'm gonna look at where do I go from here? Okay, so Walmer's gonna leaving his axe like on the ground. He doesn't want to alarm these people, even though like most of them, at least to his eyes, kind of look like they're civilized little villager butchers or whatever that grabbed whatever's at hand. I only really feel like I see one serious problem here with the war armed fellow, the seventh man. Seven men is even worse than 6. The numbers are getting out of my hand. But yeah, so I'm gonna just look at the group. I'm gonna look at my group, and I'm just gonna go, well, I'll directly address the fellow who was like, "Where is she?" I'm like, "Where's who?"
Okay, so as these men are kind of confused, one by Shabaka's comments, and then also by the dancing, the main guy, like the guy that's in armor, he's like, "You men, get it together." He's like, "Our priestess, you stole her. You abducted her. Where's she?" And he's kind of like brandishing his spear kind of at the group in general, not like threatening necessarily, but he's trying to look dangerous. I'll let you respond if you like.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just sort of straighten my back and show off my character sheet says tigerish thews. So somewhat tigerish finesse. I will just yeah. Anyway, just show off the tiger gun show here, and kind of match his energy in that respect. Take a step forward, maybe again, not threatening, but just kind of also peacocking or whatever, and just look at him and go, "We don't know who you're talking about. I would almost guess maybe you do know that we have no idea who you're talking about, and you're playing to this audience here." And I gesture at the aristocrat and the other individuals.
Sure.
It feels like maybe you found some strangers from out of town you want to blame for something you did.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna accuse him almost.
Let's go for it.
So while they're talking, John, what is Gaius doing? He's in the wilderness, unseen. You could be 20 feet away, basically, closer if you like. You can go around them.
Did they have horses? How did they get here?
Okay, so you don't see any horses. They don't have any horses nearby. You're not exactly sure how they got around you. Maybe you guys were just like too involved in like chatting and whatnot. But as you are moving into the trees and kind of like maybe trying to get a better look at them, you do see a horseman coming up the road from the east. He's about 30, 40 feet away. He's not in a hurry. He's just like trotting his horse.
Okay.
You can see it is dark, but there's the starlight and the moonlight. Gaius can see the glint of like metal armor on this man's shoulders.
And he's definitely he's coming along the road that we're.
You can even hear you can probably even hear the horse steps on the cobbled road. It's like a Roman type road, basically.
Okay. Can I like squint, focus, try a perception kind of deal, and get a better sense of like whether this person has the vibe of an imminent threat?
Yeah, that's cool. Do a feat of intuition.
Okay. D6, and I don't know that I have any modifiers for that, right?
I don't think so. I think it's straight D6.
All right. 6.
Okay. He looks like, as you see him riding, he gets a little bit closer. He has the bearing of a soldier. He's riding well. He's he's upright in the saddle. He's wearing basically like a chainmail harness, like a type of like a breastplate almost. Mm-hmm. And you can see that he has a large shield on his hip, just like hanging, and he's coming closer to the group.
And he's still on the road, right?
He is still on the road, and he is still riding.
I would like to step into the road and hail him and whistle.
Do you want to be behind the other intruders? So you would be like between them and him.
Best possible place.
You can totally do that. You step out. You guys, as you are, around the campfire and trying to deal with these individuals that are coming up, you see Gaius step out of the trees. You're not even really sure how he got there, and he hails.
A miracle.
You can tell me how you hail this man. What do you say to him, or what do you do?
I just kind of turn and look.
I thought, who's hailing? All of us are hailing?
Gaius.
Gaius is hailing the dude on the horses.
What do you say? What do you say to him?
Hey, sir, are you missing a priestess by any chance?
Okay. He comes up. He says, "What do you know about that?" And obviously he sees these other guys up there.
Yeah. Well, these fine gentlemen here, they're also looking for a priestess, and I figured if we could, all combine our efforts, there might be a substantial payoff if there's that much, if there's that much interest in a common problem.
Okay. He kind of gives you kind of a quizzical look. Back at the campfire, Walomir has said what he said to this fellow, and he's like, "What are you saying? Don't accuse me." He's like, we know that Priestess Flavia was abducted, and she was brought this way. You're the first people we saw, and he seems to be kind of getting heated. And
I'm giving it right back. Just kind of like, so if you saw a goat herder, you would have assumed he was a professional kidnapper as well.
Yes.
Sometimes the first shaft does not fly true.
That's true. So the man on the horse, he sees what's going on, and he says, Sergius, step back. You men, get back there. It doesn't seem that these are our abductors. He says, the man on the horse, he says, my name is Phaedros. He says, we are searching for a priestess. Her name is Flavia. She was abducted from our town. She says, you've seen nobody on the road? And you guys haven't seen anybody.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. He says, well, we were certain she came this way, but you know, it's hard to track somebody on this road with the way it's made. He says,
what divination methods are you using?
So he also kind of looks confused. He says, we don't have a diviner or a sorcerer with us.
You do now.
Everybody thinks they're a wizard.
Yeah.
Is there anything you guys would like to ask these men? They do step back instantly. Like the villagers, they kind of step back. They're still kind of wary and like suspicious of you.
Why would somebody want to steal your priestess?
He says, we're not sure. She was a young acolyte just learning her trade, and he says that we were summoned by head priest Melaton, who told us that her rooms had been broken into and ransacked. She had been missing. Villagers at the edge of our town saw men riding this way, so this is the way we came.
So
No,
May
go
I
ahead.
offer you
Good
my
question.
services as an oracular scout?
yeah, so I sort of step on what Christopher said a little bit. This is team player conflict here, Christopher, not you and me. Walmer sort of steps on it. The end of Christopher's sentence here, on Shabaka's sentence, and is like, yes, we came to the Eastern Land seeking opportunity, and forgive me if this is crass, but it feels like we found it. So if you like, we have many abilities which perhaps your common butcher, noble though they are, could not bring to the task. So if you could give us the general direction, it seems that way. I gesture whichever the way is pointing.
Just as you guys
help you.
Just as you men are saying that our services are available, this kind of thing, you hear at a close but kind of a distant ways off, a woman's scream, shrill, 2 or 3 times, and I want each of you to make a feat of intuition to determine the location of that scream.
Sounds like my danger sense would not come into effect, so I will not go up 2 dice.
No.
I should use that earlier, but anyway, here we are. That's on me.
May I apply my thievery bonus to detect faint noises?
Yes.
All right, I have a +1D on feats of intuition.
Yes.
Oh, but it's only the hidden and silent creatures or objects. Never mind. So I roll a straight up D6.
That's correct. Yes.
I rolled a mighty 2, rhymes with thews.
You're doing well. You're doing well.
Yeah.
It's not the worst roll. I got a 1.
Numerically speaking, that is correct. I could have got a 1. Oh well.
I got a 5 on my D8.
5. Steve?
I got a 1, but I see that my fox has keen hearing with +1D feats of intuition. So can I automatically use that, or?
Absolutely. So your fox will have roll a D8 for your fox.
Also got a 1.
Oh my goodness. Okay, the fox was sleeping. It was just having.
The fox is definitely one of your.
Christopher, what did you get?
I got a 6 out of a 6.
Okay, awesome. So, Christopher and John, you are both very certain, and this is very important to Shabaka. The scream was to the northeast.
As the arrows foretold.
As the arrows foretold. You would imagine, both of you imagine, it's probably pushing about 200 yards off into the hills. But the men around you, they're like, that's her, priestess, where are you? They start screaming. What do you guys do?
I pick up my axe and just start running in that direction. Hard as
I
I
have
can.
one question.
Yes.
Crucially, gentlemen, Sergius, Phaedros, this priestess who is missing, was she wearing any particular ornamentation? Nothing of any particular value. Just like, are there any baubles involved?
Phaedros, the man on the horse, he says, we don't really know exactly what she was wearing, but normally we see her in the white robes of the priestess as in the priesthood of Xuthus, with a symbol, a pendant of the sun symbol of Xuthus.
There's not a moment to lose. And I'll take it from.
Okay, you guys know exactly, like, as long as everybody's following Shabaka and Gaius, you guys know exactly where to go. Christopher, why don't you? I'm gonna pick you. Roll me. I'm gonna check my notes real quick. I believe it is a D6, please.
Just straight up D6.
Yeah, this is going to determine how long it takes you to find it, and I'm going to roll for the guys, these villagers.
I got a 5.
Okay, excellent. And they got 19. So, you guys take off through the forest. Behind you, you hear Phaedros commanding the villagers to kind of spread out, like search, and you can see that they're not going the direction you're going, like exactly to it. They don't really know exactly where the sound came from, like you guys do. So they're kind of spreading out. The horseman just kind of like rides down kind of behind them, so he's kind of like in the back. And you, as you're basically hauling ass, you run through the forest, and you can kind of hear the occasional like night creature run off from you. Salome, where is your fox? Are you carrying the fox, or is it running with you?
I was wearing him as a sexy scarf, which could also be why he didn't hear anything.
It's like sleeping.
Yeah, I'm just like.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. All right, then you guys run out. It takes you about 10, maybe 11 minutes, and you basically kind of come down off of like a little bit of like a plateau, and you kind of come to like a stream. And where you reach that stream, there's like 2 boulders kind of like sticking out of the side, like the hillside, and you can smell smoke and just a very faint odor of smoke, like campfire. And between those 2 boulders, you guys see a very small fire burning with a campsite that has been kind of like tossed. Like you see like a blanket and like what turns out to be like a fur cloak just kind of like thrown to the side. There's a bed of like pine boughs like laid down, like somebody had made a bed. There's a backpack that has been like upturned, and you can see like some rations, a water skin, maybe a bit of rope, basic things like that. You see a sack that clearly has something in it, so maybe some clothes, and it's kind of it. You don't see anybody around. This is clearly a recent campsite. What do you guys do?
May I, because my character has a survival class ability that gives me a +1 die on attribute feats made to, among other things, track. So I'm wondering if maybe Walmir can sort of move ahead and kind of like scan this campsite, looking for footprints, looking for traces of any other thing else that could help him, with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Shabaka is also a tracker.
Yes. So I will track in a different direction. I will check in a different place than Oliver is checking.
Okay. Yeah, and I respect his abilities despite stepping on his sentence earlier. So, we sort of maybe fall into a pattern because you take 180 degrees, I take the other 180 degrees, and we kind of, scan the same.
Okay, so the highest roll, the person with the highest roll will find anything.
Okay.
So you guys can roll off. It's going to be a feat of intuition, modified by your tracking ability.
All right, so for me, then that goes up the dice chain to a D8. Got that handy. All right. Hand to Crom, I got a 7.
Where is my tracking ability?
Okay, let me pull up your guy. Your tracking ability is forestry. You get a +1D. It's on the back of the sheet under class abilities. You get a +1D, any attribute feats ability: climbing, sneaking, tracking, navigating.
So I go from 6 to 8.
6 to 8. That sounds plus another 1 because you are proficient with intuition. So you're D10.
D10.
Oh.
Not too bad.
Well, I got a 7. We'll see if I get to shine.
Well, let's see what the arrows reveal. Oliver, you still might be the man. D10. Roll. I got a 5.
Okay.
Oh, thank God, I need
Fair
this.
enough.
My ego is...
Okay. We're going to resolve that in a second. Let's see what Salome and Gaius are doing at the campsite while the others are tracking. What would you guys like to do?
I'd like to search the campsite, I think. Take a look and see if I can figure anything out, divine anything from the
Okay.
yeah, leavings.
Okay. And Gaius, what are you going to do?
Did you say the cloak was fur?
Yeah, it's like a rabbit fur cloak. Maybe they were using it as like a blanket.
I have no cloak. I will take the cloak.
Okay. It actually has a pin, like a brooch attached to it. It's like an oblong bronze, kind of basic brooch. So Salome, you start investigating like the leavings behind. Like I said, you find some clothes. You find one sandal, like a Roman type sandal. The other one's missing. It's a small size, like a woman's. Like I said, there's a sack there that has something in it. There's some rations scattered around. Looks like somebody had been sleeping here to you. Do you open the backpack or the sack at all?
Yeah, I'll open the sack first, I think.
Okay. So in the sack, you find there's a book that it's dark, so there's like a title on it. You might have to stoke that fire up a little bit to read it, but there's also a good handful of folded pieces of paper, like letters, basically.
Okay.
Do you want to stoke the fire up then? And
yeah, definitely, and at least like determine what language it is and if I can speak it or.
Okay. All right. So while you're doing that, out with the trackers, Walamir going kind of off to, let's see, you got to camp to the northeast, where he's maybe like to the west a little bit of where Shabaka is. You find, so you rolled a 7, correct?
Yep.
Okay. You find tracks in the mud of the opposite side of the stream, basically. And you can see a sandaled footprint and a naked footprint, like that person was wearing one sandal. And you also see smaller footprints around it, like half the size of the woman's footprint.
Oh, like child size.
Yeah. And from with rolling a 7, you can see that maybe there's a little bit of a struggle or something. Like the woman's foot is sometimes dragged through the mud, and it kind of goes off to the northwest through like some trees, basically.
Walamir briefly contemplates the idea of a ridiculously strong child dragging the acolyte away, but then reconsiders that theory and turns to the group, does a nice little pose with his axe arm just out straight, in the direction going, guys, footprints this way. And I think she may have had a small child with her, and there was some kind of a struggle. We should probably move quickly.
Okay. So back at the fire with Salome, you stoke the fire up, and you can see that this book it's not a large book. It's like a digest-sized book, but thicker, and it's hardbound in like a black leather. And the front of it says, it's kind of like embossed. It says the Testament of Asherok. Meanwhile, the letters, incidentally, it's Thraxian. Yeah, trade paperback. The letters also appear to be in Thraxian. It would take you a few minutes to kind of like go through them to see exactly what they are, if you guys are willing to take that time.
I know Thraxian, being Thraxian. Does anyone else know Thraxian?
Actually, I believe I do.
I think it's the common language amongst you all.
Yeah, I've got Zargovic and Thraxian.
We could each take a letter.
Okay, that's fine.
A letter?
Yeah.
Oh.
So all of these letters had been sealed with wax at one point, but they've been broken. And each of you takes one. You start kind of reading it. And first off, go ahead.
I think we should. I'm going to follow the tracks. I mean, if this we heard her scream like minutes ago.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sure.
I agree with Shabaka. I'm like, I think there's some urgency this way.
I mean, you can read as you travel. You just need a torch. If that's what you want to do, Salome.
Do I have a torch? Let's see.
Oh,
I've got some stuff.
What
stuff do I have?
There's definitely torches in the group.
Around.
Speed.
I've got a flint and steel.
I've got a
some
lantern.
torches.
There you go. Okay, yeah. If you want to light your
lantern
lantern.
Yeah.
Okay. So as Walamir and Shabaka kind of lead the way following these tracks, we're going to let you do all the reading. Guys, where are you going to be in the group? You want to bring up the rear?
Sure. Why not? I still have unresolved worries about the random convenient oblong bronze brooch that I have. But
you get the sense that it was just left attached to it. You know, I mean, it's closed. Like it's like a pin brooch. Like so somebody took their cloak off and they just reattached it so they didn't lose it. If that makes sense.
The gods have given me a bauble and a good sense for the innocuousness of baubles. So okay, I'm good.
That's right. And you can put it on if you like. It's fine.
Oh, I do.
Okay. It's probably nicer than anything else you own. So as you guys are traveling, Walamir and Shabaka, you guys become aware that there's definitely more than one set of small footprints.
Could these be some kind of malevolent wee folk?
You're not sure.
You mean children, Shabaka?
You're just in general.
I mean, I don't know how they act where you're from.
You're not really from this area, so you don't know of any legends or anything of what might live here or etc. Walamir, however, his people are generally from this area, the Volcarthian Mountains. I'll let you, Oliver, if you want to do a feat of cunning to just kind of recall like lore.
Right on. All right, D5. Let's see how that goes.
D5.
All right, I got a 3, and for those who aren't familiar with funky dice, here's a 3 on a D5.
Let's see. You don't really specifically remember any stories about like malevolent wee folk, but you know plenty of stories of like your own deities and things like that you might just start reciting. Anyway, you guys are kind of traveling off to the north and west through this little forested area. Salome, meanwhile, is reading the book and the letters, and it becomes immediately apparent that this book it's basically written like a testimony of a person who spoke with the demon prince Asmodeus, and it outlays a variety of like basically demonic rituals in there and like what Asmodeus expects out of his worshippers. The letters name a variety of people. They are all signed by a man named Melaton. Some of the people you wouldn't necessarily know, but they're given names like Magister so-and-so and Lord so-and-so, presumably some important people. All of the letters revolve around cult meetings. We're meeting at this place at this date, or that sort of thing. And some of the other names that you see in there are Phaedros and Sergius.
Aha, dun dun dun. We found their evil, like, culty meeting minutes.
So, secrets revealed. As you guys are traveling, you start to hear some shouting, like, behind you. Like, the men, like the villagers, or perhaps the horsemen, had finally found the campsite. It takes about 10 more minutes for them to find it after you guys have left. So they're about 10 minutes behind you guys. To make it quick, you guys travel, you follow these tracks through the forest, and it comes out kind of more like a clearing sort of area, but you're still like in like hills, a lot of rocks, like I said. And as you come out into like a clearing area, you can see maybe like 200 yards in front of you, there's this basically almost like a rounded mound, like a little hill almost. The trail.
Are there any priestesses staked on top of the mound?
Yes, it's about to
You don't see any. You don't see any. You don't hear anything else. You don't hear any more screams or anything like that. It seems to you that the trail goes basically directly towards that mound. Once you get to be about maybe 100 yards from it, from like kind of like the base of the mound, you come to like a basically kind of where the ground is starting to rise up. There's like almost like a jutting rock coming up out of the ground, like a small rock shelter basically, and underneath it, maybe about 5 feet high and about 5 feet wide, there's a dark entrance to a cave. What would you guys like to do? The trail goes directly to that.
Volomir walks right up to the
Are
opening.
we all four together at this point?
Yeah.
So we have a lantern that is lit. That is our only light source, right?
Correct, and the moonlight. But yes.
I think. Do I have 2 lanterns? Hold on. No, I've got 1 lantern and 2 pints of oil. Okay.
Well, I've got
as
some
we were
torches, but...
Okay.
As we were walking, is it all right for me to have been explaining in brief, like?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. All right, guys. Sergius, evil. Worship this demon Asmodeus. My favorite demon, IRL. But yeah, it's really good.
Love it. Yeah. It's perfect.
Yeah, I've written about him before, lectured about him. It's
awesome. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So we probably don't want to trust him. I don't know about the others.
We don't want to trust Asmodeus?
Well, probably not. But, he might be down for something interesting, He's a curious kind of guy.
I don't judge, I'm open to new experiences.
Yeah. At the very least, we don't want to trust Sergius.
Did you say there were trees that we?
Yeah, you kind of came through a lightly forested area, and now you've come out of that, and you're kind of in like almost like a heather sort of like heathland hill country.
What would it have taken for me to linger back from the crew just a bit? I have 50 feet of silk rope and a bag of caltrops.
Silk rope. My rope's him.
Yeah. Okay.
I would absolutely love to just run some basic tripwires through the trees, throw some caltrops. We know the guy's coming on a horse. We know there's 7 or so. Like maybe we even the odds a little bit.
Okay.
But we don't know that they're after us, do we? I mean, are we going to fight the guys that were behind us?
I don't know. Are you?
If somebody's horse comes up lame, they're not going to be happy. Or if they fall, people don't like to fall.
You can totally do that if you like, John. But
I'm spitballing here.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we have proof that some of the men are responsible for kidnapping the priestess or involved with wanting to take her somewhere else, and some of them aren't, we might be able to turn some of the ones that aren't with Sergius to our side.
Yeah, that's a good point. If we can get compelling evidence, that might help us at least, winnow down the amount of threat behind us. So maybe we should go look in the hole forward to find whatever that compelling evidence might be. Shall we? I gesture with my axe.
Well, I mean, we've got these books and letters. I know you, as a barbarian, distrust them as like stealing your eyes or whatever when you...
Books and letters killed my mother.
Sorry. Oh my God. I do that all the time. I'm so sorry.
You always forget. We've talked about this, man. We've talked about this.
While they bicker, I continue laying my bag of caltrops. I also apply all of my knowledge as a barber, my extensive medical knowledge, to determine the best places to drop those caltrops for maximum.
Okay. I'm going to say, like, you can make your traps in relatively good areas. Like you can figure out, like, they're probably gonna be following the trail that you guys followed, right? Most logically, so you can find some spots around there to lay your caltrops and maybe like some tripwires, like you said. That would take you a good 5 minutes, I think, to do that. So you can hear these guys getting closer, like in the trees. They're kind of like shouting, like over here, trying to stay like in range of each other.
So 5 minutes is just long enough for Walamir to get through Act 1 of the 10-act conversation where he explains to the others again about the tragic death of his mother. But maybe as the noises get closer, he sort of goes like and clams up about that, and then gestures towards the opening, like
yeah. Okay.
I have time to do a quick four arrow divination. I'm not going to use
Absolutely.
All right, going to throw the 4 arrows. How do they land?
Okay. One of them lands with the tip kind of stuck in the mud, so it's kind of like at an angle, and the feathers are up.
Oh my god!
Two of them are kind of like parallel underneath that one, pointing to the west, and then the fourth one is perpendicular, and it is pointing to the northeast.
This is a classic Rosicrux, is what you're describing, right?
What does it mean? What could it possibly mean?
Well, it can mean many things. I don't have time to go into all of them right now, but we are in a forest, so obviously Rosicrux Alpha is at play. I think what I'm sensing from the fletching in particular. I mean, look at what I'm sensing right now is that we should go in this hole.
That sounds good.
Is the fletching in retrograde?
Which one's in ascendance? Walamir, you would think would be irritated, but he respects the restraint of only 4 arrows. And he goes, all right, you know what? I'm sensing something from the arrows myself. I'm an amateur, but I feel like they're telling me to go in first. And I start ducking into the opening.
So I'm going to ask you guys, or I assume you're going to keep the lantern lit. It is dark inside. You will need light. What will your marching order be? So you could basically be like side by side, but you'd be tight. Like I said, it's only about 5 feet wide. And Walamir is like 3 feet wide himself.
Yeah, I was saying, like, I imagine he's just kind of like shaking his shoulders out. He needs room for the axe,
Yeah.
Do torches have a damage dice, looks like, next to him?
Okay, that is a control die. We're not going to worry about it right now, but basically it manages how long they burn.
So can you use them as a weapon? Could I dual wield sword and a torch?
Absolutely. Yeah, you could use a torch. It would just be like a club, D6 damage. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna double dip and get both light and damage potential by having a torch in one hand and my short sword in the other.
Excellent. Okay. And let me hear the marching order then. Sounds like Walamir will be in the front.
Yes, please.
Are we all back together? Is Miracle Man finished with his
Yeah. We're gonna say you're all together going into the tunnel.
I guess I'm the second most fight, so maybe I should go in the back.
Okay, that's fair.
That makes sense.
So where would Walamir, I guess.
Okay, so Walamir.
And then I'll be in the remaining spot.
That's it.
Right, I'm right behind the sexy sorceress, and I want you to know that my eyes are up here. Okay.
Awesome. I also have an ass on the back of my head, just for people who happen to be looking at
it. Is it a fox?
Special hat.
Well, yes, actually, it is just a fox's ass. I should probably send the fox out to actually do something useful instead of just being a scarf. But
I mean, you can do that if you like.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that. He is very nice and cozy and warm, though. But
all right, so let me describe. So as you enter this tiny cave, you kind of like some of you are much taller than 5 feet. You kind of have to like crouch down to get into it. Seems to be like a dark limestone sort of stone. The walls everything's uneven. The floor is uneven. The wall, the ceiling, with kind of like jutting rocks here and there. The entrance itself is very muddy. Like it's almost dug up, right? You go in, you have your light sources. You really only go about 30 feet, and then there's a smaller tunnel, literally only about 4 feet high and like 2 feet wide, going off to the right. It would be very hard for you guys to get in there. Like you could crawl in.
Could a Phoenix Fox get in there by any chance?
A Phoenix Fox could definitely get in there. Yeah, if you want to look at it.
Can you talk to your Phoenix Fox and stuff? Or
Yeah, I think I'm gonna send him in. Little Shoe. His name is Shoe.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Everybody that plays that character names the fox something different. Roll me, Steve. Roll me a d6. And
awesome. I'm just gonna roll my physical d6.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
I got a 5.
Okay, 5. What are you? So the fox is going to go in there, or is everybody else going to kind of wait there where you are, or you guys want to keep moving?
Oh, we shouldn't abandon.
Okay.
Shoe. I want to turn around. I know it's just a tight spot, but while we're doing this investigation, I'm going to look back the way we came in case these cats are like coming out.
No, that's cool.
If I can get everyone to any character, shush, I have the power to detect faint noises.
Okay. You can roll that.
Fantastic.
Matter of fact, okay. So knowing there's something that you might hear, and its distance, give me I want to do a -2d on that roll. Your detecting noises roll. So it's intuition.
Okay, intuition -2d +1 for thievery to detect faint noises. D5 coming up.
Okay.
1.
Damn. Okay. All right. It's pretty quiet. It's actually, you hear like some echoing, maybe like some water dripping, that kind of thing.
Like Walamir's air horn goes off. He apologizes.
Okay. So
can I try my alertness class ability to kind of basically do the same thing you just did?
Yep. Same penalty. So -2d.
Minus what?
-2d.
Okay, so I'm +1d, so I go up from 6 to 8, and then down from 8 to 4?
5. D5. If you don't have a D5, you can roll a D10 and basically divide by 2.
Right. Well, I'm using that D&D dice roller, one of you guys.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So I'm going to go with a 1d10, and it's 1, 2 is 1. 2. I'll tell you what I rolled, and you tell me what I rolled.
Okay.
That makes sense in context.
Yep.
I rolled on a D10 a 10.
Okay, that's 5. So that's success. We're gonna come back to that. Shu goes down this like little tunnel, and like I said, the familiar is actually a demon in disguise, right?
Yeah.
It is telling you psychically that the whole place smells unusual and alien. It goes down like on a downward slope, a good 30, 40 feet. It's just darkness. It can see in the dark. And then it comes out into a long chamber that's like kind of like maybe 20 feet wide. The ceiling is not high. The ceiling is only maybe like 7, 8 feet high. And it's, uneven, like I said. But if you close your eyes and concentrate, you can see through its eyes, right?
Yeah.
You can see there's like rock shelves, and like the ground and the walls and these rock shelves are all covered with like mushrooms of different kinds, white mushrooms and brown mushrooms and spotted mushrooms. And you can detect the odors that the fox is smelling. You can smell like a rank decay, and then you can see that there are decomposed animals kind of on the floor, and maybe some human bones, a skull here and there with a mushroom growing out of it. And it seems to be, well, you don't know what it is. It seems like there's a lot of mushrooms.
Yeah. It's The Last of Us.
So you can have the fox come back or keep going. It seems like a pretty long chamber.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have the fox come back. You said so. Shu sensed that it was sort of this alien. There's an alien quality to the
like
cavern.
Smell. Yeah, it's like a weird smell. It says.
So since she is a demon, does that indicate, or should it indicate that it's not a demonic presence if Shu thinks that it's alien?
You could think that, absolutely.
Okay.
You would definitely think it's not of the natural world, and like you're saying, because it's an imp. It doesn't seem it would know demonic things, and it's not
right. Exactly. Yeah.
So,
yeah. I'm curious. Could I roll cunning to see like if you think it would be believable that I would know things about like Asmodeus or like, you know, anything, or I guess just
so you want to know if you know any secret knowledge about what might this be?
Yeah, what might this be, or like, you know, anything to do with anything at all?
I would say that you probably know things about Asmodeus, but this is actually different. I'm going to give you a -1D on your cunning, but yes.
Yep. No worries.
And I would say that you have a pretty good cunning, I think.
Yeah, it's like D10.
So D12 -1. So you're rolling a D10.
Crafty like a fox.
All right.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's my best stat, I think.
Don't try to arm wrestle anybody, though.
No. So I got a 3. So that didn't go well.
Yeah, you're not really sure. Like, you know that there are other elementals, there are other sort of like entities, like in the unnatural world, so to speak, the supernatural world. It could be anything like that that the fox just doesn't recognize, but you're just not sure. It could be, you've heard in Akkar, where you're from, you have heard of things called ghouls, which roam the deserts. Something like that. It's more of like a mundane, natural world type of humanoid, but you wouldn't imagine they're here. You're not sure though. Right. Shabaka, as this is all going on and the fox is returning to you, you guys are kind of straining and listening. Shabaka, you could swear you hear like a muffled sort of rhythmic speech or hissing or something really far off. It's distant.
Can I get a direction?
Forward. Basically down
forward along the tunnel that we've been traveling in.
The main tunnel, it seems like.
Friends, as the Aleph formation of the classic Rosicrux foretold, there is something ahead, something sinister, some hissing, some speaking thing. If I'd done a 6-arrow, if I'd been allowed to do a 6-arrow divination, maybe I'd have more information, but that's what I got.
Okay. All right. The fox returns. What do you guys want to do? You want to keep going down the main tunnel?
Here's what I believe.
Okay.
I believe tiny things have come up out of the tunnel and are reclaiming this barrow. And there's probably some kind of chamber where they've taken the what's-her-face with the baubles for ritual purposes. So if we go forward, she might have stuff.
Waldemar looks at you, John. Guys, looks at you like, yeah, that's what he's been waiting to hear. That's what he always knew in his heart, and you just articulated it for him. He's on board 110%. And he looks you dead in the eyes, like he's about to say the secret name of your father you didn't know you had, and just looks at you and goes, yeah, and you know what's the smallest, most threatening thing in the world? The written word. I bet we got to watch out for some words, some books in there. They talk about the pen and the sword, and you know what? They didn't think about the axe. And I pick up my battle axe and I start marching resolutely in that direction. Like John just told me exactly where to find my purpose in life.
Okay.
How far have we come? How far into
Not far. You've only really come in about 40 feet or so, and it's kind of like a downward slope. For the most
Is there
part.
any sign of if not pursuit of the dudes that were following us, or did they all fall prey to the silken rope?
You that probably has. You haven't heard them yet. Yeah, you had a really good roll on your listen. You did not hear anybody behind you.
Okay.
Yet. Okay. You guys continue down the main tunnel. You pass a number of other small corridors. Some of them they're at different levels too. Like some are like a higher, like your face. They kind of go up into like the ceiling. Some of them go down low. They're all like kind of like all over. It's like a warren, right?
That's not ominous.
You go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I presume nothing threatening will come out of any of these holes while Amir mutters under his breath.
You haven't detected any other sounds. Shabaka, you still hear this like hissing rhythm or whatever it is. It's very slowly getting louder, like getting closer to it.
Is it sinuous? Is it musical?
It doesn't seem musical. It seems repetitive though. You guys travel, you probably lose track of how far you've gone, but you've been walking through this tunnel for like 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. You're not sure. Where is Shu? Where are you keeping the fox? Is it still with you?
Yeah, he's still with me. Yeah, at this point. Yeah.
Walamir, since you're in the front, go ahead and, well, you don't need to roll. You get to a point as the light is kind of behind you, like the torches and the lantern are behind you. Your face is in darkness, and you come sort of like around sort of like a jutting rock coming out of the wall, and you can see kind of maybe 30 feet in front of you like this weird scintillant green glow on the ceiling. And it seems like the tunnel keeps either opens up or keeps going. You're not sure.
Okay, well,
go ahead.
Yeah, so all the easy joking comments about taking revenge on the written word, Walamir does appreciate he's in a dangerous situation, and so it's probably a good thing that he has a dangerous sense. Would it be possible for me to kind of just pause and really try to feel out, like, is there something in this room that's going to get me? Like, can I maybe catch a smell or a sight or a sound that suggests that there is something lingering, something small and scary?
Yes. Yeah, totally. Go ahead and roll that. That's a feat of intuition plus your danger sense modifier.
Right. So starting at D6, that gets me up to a D10. So let's see where that gets me. All right. Not the best, not the worst. I got a 6. I know I'm showing that. It's in reverse anyway. But yeah, whatever.
I believe you.
I'm trying to show my homework here. Come on, man. But yeah, I got a 6.
So yes, you get to this where you can see it. Maybe you stop and kind of hunker down, and you smell an odor coming up from that ahead of you, basically, and it's almost like a earthy serpentine stench,
but not sulfurous, because I'm thinking demons.
Dare one say worm-like?
Huh?
Perhaps. It's probably undetectable to the people behind you. You have your barbarian senses.
Just because I love Gaius saying, "Is it worm-like?" I will mutter a little bit of what I'm detecting back to the group just to fill them in.
Worms.
So we can get that dialogue in.
Okay.
But yeah,
you believe them to be literate worms.
I go, you know what?
I've
We're gonna find out. Wouldn't put it past them. They're sneaky. All right, so I'm not a guy who shies away from stuff, even if it scares me. I'm gonna try and do my classic Conan here and both have fear and work against it by pressing onward in the direction.
Which is, of course, why you're often found reading books.
It's true. I'm trying to do what do you call it? Exposure therapy. It's still very new in the kingdoms, but I just kind of rub my face in the book. It's not working very well, but
this is how you read, right?
Yeah. This is how it works, right? Yeah. And, like, unfortunately, my face made a silly putty, so it just all rubs off. Anyway, whatever. This is getting ridiculous. So I stalk forward, seeking my most hated foe, ready to break their spines.
Do you go up alone, or is somebody bringing a torch with you? To your eyes,
that's a good point. Actually, I have a two-handed axe, so if I'm wielding that, I do not have a light source. So, good point. I will look back towards the group now.
Let me say, like, to your eyes, you think that the green light might give you enough light to see by, but it, might be kind of like disorienting a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it feels sorcerous, right? Which, again, joking about words aside, like, I feel like I would distrust that naturally. So I will move towards it because it is the point of interest, but I will move, like, I know players do this all the time. I will move in the way that minimizes the danger, maximizes the opportunity. But, I'll move kind of like slowly, cautiously towards it because I'm a distrustful of sorceress things barbarian, not because I'm a player min-maxing. We'll see how that goes.
Does anybody else go with you? We have some other sneaky characters here that might scout ahead?
Yes, you do.
The guy is sneaky too.
So you believe that So I've got a torch in my hand. So my night vision is kind of messed up right now. But Oliver is reporting that there may be enough of a light source up ahead that we can use it. Can I leave my torch here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, Wallimer had like kind of like come around like a jutting boulder from in the wall. You could easily like hide your torch back there, so it would kind of be shaded, and the lantern as well if you wanted to.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead. Songs torch. Is that how you say that? Canadian songs.
Songs, yeah, more or less, yeah. Tabernacle songs.
And I've got my short, and I'm going to replace the torch with my dagger. So I've got a short sword and a dagger.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to wriggle my way past the Miracle Man and the Sorceress. Sorry. Nothing. I'm sorry. And I'm going to go up to the Barbarian and say, I have certain skills that may be useful in the situation. I'm not trying to challenge you. I'm not judging you. I'm just offering you my help.
I look at you and I go, that's fine. But if we can have a 0 arrow divination situation before, just we'll scale you back up to 10 or 12 later. I mean, hey, man,
okay, all right. So, all right. Well, I'm going to. Is this a search or a perception?
So I'm going to have you sneak. Actually, why don't you sneak?
Okay,
up?
Sneak.
It's going to be an agility feat.
Agility. Agility is I have a +1d to agility feats.
So that'll put you up to a D10, and then you have. Oh, let's see. I would say that forestry applies as well because you're kind of in a natural sort of terrain.
So that's 12.
That'll be a D12.
All right. We go over to this tab. We change that from D10 to D12, and we hit roll, and we get a 12.
Absolutely boss. All right. Absolutely. Okay. You move up, and once you move past Wallimere, like the green light that I mentioned is very clear. It's almost like the aurora. Look, it moves almost. The light kind of like dims and brightens. Is everybody else staying where you guys stopped, or are you going to move up as well? You going to give him some space, basically?
Give him I would like to continue on, but give a little bit of space.
Okay.
Just so that there's a value in
with
them going first.
With him rolling a 12. So
wait,
12
wait, you want to continue on, but give me space? Are we breaking up? Is that what's happening right
now? Leaving you for Asmodeus.
His roll of a 12 is a critical success, and with attribute feats, that's basically handled narratively. It gives you some bonus, what have you. Like, so in this case, that D12 is going to give everybody else a pass. You're going to be able to show these guys how to move up sneakily, and so long as they're like kind of following you, you guys can all move in a group up to this where this green light is kind of showing.
All right, while we're game recognized game as a kind of moment of respect for Christopher's character, and follows up behind him closely.
Okay.
Right,
so
I put this in the private chat, but I sense that we're probably something is about to happen. My years of experience.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you mind if we take a 5-minute break right now?
Absolutely, that's fine with me. Oliver,
will this affect the fundraiser in any way? Because I'm not going to do it.
We will cut to commercial. Sure, man. Yeah, if you got to hit the washroom or something, go for it.
Okay, I got 7:50. So it's 5 till. So we come back at the top of the hour.
Yeah. Okay, so 8:55. We'll come back at 9. I gotta say, I'm really enjoying this so far. Thank you so much for running it.
It's fun.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, great. Yeah, it seems like you guys are picking up the rules really easily. That's good news.
Yeah. No, the rules. Yeah, no, I'm not feeling too flummoxed. And I'm finding a nice balance between getting lost in the narrative and checking my character sheet to see what I can do. Because I think we've all played those games where like every time the GM says, "Okay, here's the situation," and then the players all just kind of like put their heads down and they just read through the list of abilities. You know, like I love Call of Cthulhu, but I do find that happens sometimes where you're like, "There's a weird list tree. How will you engage with it?" And the players are like, "Let me read through every single one of my skills and say, is this a thing? Is this a thing? Is this a thing?"
Yeah, no, I understand that. Yeah, I mean, I do that myself. Like, depending on the game,
I get the instinct, right? Because I think it's a natural reaction to certain rule systems. But what I'm enjoying here is that is not something the rule system is like default guiding me towards. We do have some cool abilities, but it's not a case of any situation you're in. Well, okay, check all of them from A to Z and see which one's the right one and then plug it in. You know, because I feel like when that's the case, it's almost a little too computer gamey. In which case, well, might as well go play a computer game. The fun of the human element here, the fun of having a meat brain computer running the whole thing is having a little more imagination, a little more engagement from the player's side, and just a little more unpredictability. I'm enjoying it. It's pretty good. I'm curious, just while we're here, why don't you answer a simple question for the class? When did you first decide that you want to engage upon the I remember I'm saying this as a magazine publisher, so no shade. Engage upon the infinitely lucrative venture of designing TTRPGs. And when did you begin working on Reaver?
Okay, so let's see. The first thing I wrote, or I guess the first professional thing I did in the industry was Forgotten Fane of the Coiled Goddess, which is an adventure for Hyperborea. And I worked with Jeff Delaney, and basically that's kind of a different story, but I had sent him something hoping to actually publish it in like a magazine at the time, and he was like, "Well, how about you just finish out an adventure and I publish it?" So I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So that's kind of how I got started, and then
was that a cold call, or did you know him?
No, I didn't know him. I just sent him something because
awesome.
I loved the game that he made, and there's been a few games that inspired me to write things, right? And that was one of them. So after that, I was like, well, I need something for my brain to do. Like I was going through some this real life stuff, and I needed an outlet, basically a creative outlet. So I started writing what became Eldritch Tales, my Lovecraftian old school game. When I was writing that, I decided, well, I'm going to create Raven God Games, and for a long time, RGG was basically like a publishing pseudonym, so to speak. It wasn't a real company. It is now. It's now an LLC, etc. But Reaver started in that same vein as like a white box game. It was going to be my version of like an old school sort of sorcery game. And I really started, to be honest, I really started working on this diligently during the COVID lockdown. I remember sitting.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you were like, "There's some life stuff happening," I started to create a project. Like, I mean, the magazine was born in 22, right? Like, we were on the tail end of the big lockdown, so
yeah. And I mean, I had started it before that, but it wasn't like serious, and it was still like, I didn't really know what I was doing with it. But yeah, it like I said before, like it grew out of like the old school D&D style game into what you guys are playing now. It's the die chain and everything else.
So could you maybe refresh me and help some of the people watching it maybe aren't familiar? So when you say the white box, right? Like if I remember correctly, that's like, if not, it's not chainmail. I know it kind of started with chainmail D&D, but like it's kind of close to chainmail in the link of editions. Am I wrong?
Yeah. So white box is the original version of Dungeons and Dragons, like 1974, and I'm using the term white box in reference to actually Swords and Wizardry white box, which is an OSR game of that game, right? It's a clone of that game. It's
kind of like OSE to BX, right? Like it's like it's people who grew up in the original and then are like, how can we streamline this a bit and bring it back? Yeah,
exactly. So, and while we're waiting for Christopher, I can tell you like a little bit of the Swords and Wizardry history. Basically, that's a multiple set of games. It's like so Swords and Wizardry white box is just what they called the little brown box, the original box set of Dungeons and Dragons. It had like
little brown box because it was actually made of wood, right?
It had wood like wallpaper on it or something.
Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's like a laminate or something. Yeah.
Right. So that was just a very basic game. I think it just had the 3 classes like fighter, cleric, and magic user, right? I think.
Yeah. Or back then it was like Fighting Man, if I remember correctly.
Fighting Man, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's the modern OSR white box game. and then Swords and Wizardry Complete is like the whole run of that original Dungeons and Dragons, all kind of like melded together, and actually it's usable. Like it's a really cool game. It's really straightforward. I totally recommend it to everybody. So yeah.
All right, awesome. And so for those of you who are checking out the stream, mysteriously not looking at the crowdfund, we're almost at $19,000 of a goal of 28.
That's amazing.
So feeling pretty good, I gotta say. But we're here for Reaver right now, so pardon me. I just had to do the, come on, man, you've done crowdfunding. You know this. There's always like about 10 brains back being like, have you checked it? It's been a few minutes. Have you looked?
Absolutely. I feel you. Congrats, man. I hope you kill it, dude.
Oh yeah, no, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'll just say that, but we'll see what happens. In the meanwhile, back to Reaver, folks. Let's focus on that.
All right.
So Christopher is with us. Y'all ready there, dude? Christopher, can you hear me?
I can't hear you, and I'm writing you all a note right now.
Oh, is that in the disc?
But
is that in the Discord channel?
No, hang on a second. What's that?
Private chat.
Boom. All right. Yes, I'm ready.
That was like a 10-arrow note. I look forward to it. Okay, so all right. Well, then that's
very good news.
That is amazing, dude.
Thank you.
Well, you got one buyer. I can tell you that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a fortune.
I just found the private chat tab, so I can read this.
What, Oliver?
I just found the private chat tab, so pardon me. Let me get caught. Oh, hey, yeah, all right, folks. Well, I mean, let's explain what Christopher said exactly, just to give you why are we excited. A writing opportunity has blossomed here, so that's cool. All right, well, yeah, you heard it here first, folks. Kind of. So back to
that has to be an omen. Honestly, it has to be an
exactly.
Omen. You remember the original 24 arrow cast? That one arrow that was slightly off parallel.
Can we get like a plus? Like, can we get like a bonus on like our death die roll? I feel like one of the authors.
That's a good idea, actually. Matter of fact, you know what happens? You guys each get one point of resolve. So you're going to add that. You're going to add that right into your resolve.
Okay. And I'm going to expect when we get to see the final finished Reaver rules, I want to see that rule in there that if at the table during gameplay one author gets a publication plus one resolve. Sure.
Yeah, it'll be in the appendix.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Put that in the appendices. All right. So,
well, congratulations.
Amazing.
We should talk about the appendix then maybe before we go after the game. But let's get back to the game. So, but also Christopher, yeah. So, congrats, man.
Congratulations.
All right. So, as I recall, before we were taking a break there, Christopher had shown me how it's done, and it was scouting towards the green light, and I was falling behind taking notes, but not notes in the written word, notes up here. I stay true to myself, while the other two were also falling behind me, if I remember correctly. Is that about what's happening?
That is what's happening. You guys sneak up another like 30 feet or so, and you come into basically like this area of the tunnel where this light is coming from ahead of you, and it's clearly coming from below. It's like hitting the ceiling, and it gradually opens up, like the tunnel gets wider and a little bit higher, and it opens out onto what turns out to be like a balcony, almost like a natural stone balcony, with like where the front of it is kind of like turned up, like in like worn sandstone. But you guys could like peek over or whatever. I kind of have a lot to describe here. So what it reveals is that you come into a shaft. It's a really high shaft. It's about 30 to 40 feet. The ceiling is 34 to 40 feet above you. All around the walls of the shaft, you can see cave openings, like darker in the green light. And from those, you can see little stairs that come out and wind their way down to the floor. To your immediate right, coming off of the balcony that you're on, are more little stairs that are just too small for human feet. But you can see them wind down along the wall. They go down to maybe like 20 feet. And even before you get to peek over the balcony, you hear a weird sibilant chanting where one voice is saying like a Usawasiyasa, and then a multitude of voices repeats that back. You also kind of peek over, and what you see below you is, well, the first thing you see is like a 7 foot, maybe 8 foot tall statue of what appears to be like a suit, like almost like a feminine form with like stone. It's like all like this green stone. It has 4 breasts. It's kind of like a bloated shape. If you know the mother goddess stone, you imagine something like that. It seems to have like goat legs, and its head is kind of like elongated, and it has 4 eyes, like oblong red eyes. And being adventurers, you can tell immediately that the eyes are set with massive rubies, and they're glittering in the light.
Yeah, Walter may distrust books.
Look at
but
John
he
off
likes
his face,
pictures.
everybody.
Yeah,
below
Walter's like,
that,
hang on, take a picture. I'm going to go up and climb and try and find one of these out. I feel like it could be a good inspiration for a painting. Sorry, everybody.
Below
carry on.
Below the statue, kind of like in front of it, is like a 1 foot tall wooden slab, and you see the pale skinned form of a woman there. She's clothed with her it's like she's wearing like a dress. It's been torn open at her abdomen, so like she's alive. She's bound to this stone with like some kind of cord or what have you, and attending to her, and with this multitude of voices that you heard, are small stunted individuals with a green black skin. They're maybe 3 to 4 feet tall. They have uniformly white hair. It's like shaggy. Some of it's like spiked up. They're all like kind of different. And you can see that on their shoulders and their backs are basically like shiny, multicolored scales, like a snake scales on their shoulders and backs. They all have like little knives or like clubs on them, like made of stone. And like I said, attending to Priestess Flavia is a similar individual who is wearing a gold headdress, and he is the one that is starting this chant. And as he does the chant, he paints some like weird rune on her stomach, so that her stomach, as you look down, is covered in like weird runes. So they're clearly like doing some kind of like evil ritual.
Would you describe those runes would be written language?
Yes, they are a written language. So, I mean, I don't know how Walamir will take that.
Yeah, no, I'm starting to get a little head up here. Yeah,
I'm going to look to Salome for any indication of whether the runes are particularly.
I mean, to me, it all just looks like a pretty regular BDSM scene, but I can I can roll my cunning.
So,
oh dear.
Yeah, so let me go around
here. Is
here.
there a brat or no? Sorry.
What I'm going to ask you guys what you want to do. I'm going to start with John. What do you think, guys? How do you want to deal with this?
What's the lighting like in here?
It's that. So the green light. I don't think I mentioned that. The green light seems to be emanating from the statue itself. Like it's just like emanating out, kind of scintillating around the room.
So would I be at a disadvantage if I tried to like sneak up and backstab Mr. Gold Headdress?
So you're on a balcony about 20 feet high. You're pretty confident that you could climb down the side of the rocks. Should take you a couple. Yeah. Well, probably one round. You have to make a check for it. But that would put you. So in my mind, if you look straight down, the statue is in the middle of the room. The most of the creatures are to the right. So if you go down the steps, you'll be right next to all the creatures. So the shaman or whatever he is basically in front of you. So if you go down the left side of the balcony, like climb down the wall there, you would be basically behind him.
Okay. Too bad we don't have 50 feet of silk rope.
He climbs like a cat.
I do climb like a goddamn cat. And also, how
But
do
do
I
you climb
roll
like
a
Dante
D14?
specifically? Or sorry, Bob.
Okay, if you don't have a D14, just roll a D20 and just ignore the other results. Just re-roll it if you roll higher than that.
Oh,
We'll just
cool.
do that for now. Yeah,
Coming right up.
Smart.
that's the easy way to do it. You know.
I'm rolling a D14 because my agility is D10. I've got +1 D to agility feats, and I have my +1 from thievery, which includes attempts to climb.
Yep.
So D14, here we come. 17, so I discard that. 14.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay,
So
that's a critical. That is a critical. You're going to do that before we roll initiative. You get down before we roll initiative. So that'll be your benefit. Christopher, how would Shabaka like to deal with this? You have enough room here. If you want to use your bow, you could.
With one of my arrows? Is that? I mean,
I don't want to insult you.
You want me to shoot one of these things? What do you think arrows are for?
No, I have to give him money if he
actually,
shoots.
you know what? I'm going to take one of my arrows. I'm going to run my fingers lovingly along the shaft.
Okay.
I'm going to twist the fletching a little bit. I'm going to kiss the head. And then I'm going to let fly at the priest-looking dude.
Okay, that'll be your action. That's a surprise. They have no clue that you're here at this point because of that stealth roll that you guys had, and because they are completely engaged in this ritual. So that'll be your action, and that will occur after John hits the floor. What would Salome like to do, Steve?
I was a dancer. Does that include any kind of being able to climb down slopes and
not really.
Is one of the like outcroppings of rock fashioned like a pole at all?
Yeah, they just use that for fitness in the meanwhile. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's part of the whole cult package, right? Like they've got the whole gym setting. Yeah. Probably get free cafeteria too. So I suck at fighting. Am I going to be useful at all?
Yeah, so you have some spells. Don't forget your sorceress.
That's true. And let me check the range on those actually, because like.
So the range, I have your character pulled up. The range of all your spells is close. So I don't use feet. I know I say feet a lot just because I'm old. But the game uses range bands. So all of these creatures are within close of you. It's basically roughly 30, 40 feet.
Okay, so it's like could. Okay. Yeah, so I guess then in that case, I would like to cast let's see. I'm just wondering if I could cause panic, but if that might be bad for us. Because I can see how that could
if they're the ones who are panicked, then that sounds like an advantage to me.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Panic the hell out of them.
All right, I'm good. I'll panic them. Yeah.
Side note, panic I think is really powerful in this system, like scaring people.
What they'll do, all the creatures that become susceptible to it roll on the fear table, which I have separately. You guys might have it on the cheat sheet. So yeah, different things can happen to them. We'll just roll once and just apply to everybody. Okay, that's what you're going to do. And then Walamir, what would you like to do?
You know what? It's a one shot. I'm a barbarian.
Yeah.
I'm going to charge the most in charge looking guy with my battle axe over my head. And I'm going to cry out something about split infinitives. I don't really understand it. I'm going for a line about splitting his skull. And I go for it. I'm going to cut his head. And I'm going to cut that learning out of his skull.
So do you want to Do you want to try to remember you're 20 feet high, so you would have to rush down the stairs?
Well, I am fleet-footed, apparently.
You are fleet-footed,
which means I can cover distance like civilized folk never could.
So
It does say gain 1d on feats of stamina made to run and to perform and to perform a forced march. Now, forced march to me is like traveling between adventure
overland.
stuff, but to run, can I fleet-footedly charge a bit faster to try and close the distance quicker?
Let me just pull your guy up. So, the way the running rules, that's kind of like a separate thing, and it's not really a combat thing. It's like long distance running.
It's maybe more the second sentence here, where in combat I can spend 1 resolve to perform a close move.
There you go. So what that means is that you can spend a resolve before any other actions occur. You can do a close move. Okay, you're very mobile, so you could get down to the bottom of the stairs and then move again and take your action. Okay.
Well, I've got 2 resolve, but what is it for if I don't spend it? So,
you have 3. You guys should have 3 resolve. And
I've got 2 on my character sheet. So
we got one for my. Being
yeah. God damn! Christopher, your writing just keeps benefiting me. I'm publishing an article in the magazine, but I get this too. It's a blessing. All right, so I will then have 2 resolve points after I spend 1. I'm going to fleet foot my way, hopefully to cleave some skull here.
Okay.
How would I resolve that mechanically?
We will do it as we get to it. So they are surprised. I'm not even going to roll initiative at this point. Well, we don't need to roll initiative at this point. You guys are all going to act first. So let's say, John, you made your climbing check. Did you roll it? You did roll it. You get to the bottom of the cliff, basically, with ease, and you are within close range of the statue and everybody there. Flavia, the shaman, and the guys that are in the immediate vicinity. Once you get there, let's just we'll go in the same order. So let's go ahead and do your action. What do you want to do? You said you wanted to try to
attempt to backstab.
Okay. So the movement, he's certainly close enough for you to get to him, but I do want you to do a feat of agility to sneak, and your thievery would apply to that.
Awesome. So that is D14.
Basically, if you fail this, they'll see you coming, so they wouldn't be surprised. He wouldn't be susceptible to your backstab ability. But
so maybe a front stab.
It'll be a front stab.
2 16s, discard those. I roll a 2.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Of course.
Is there a
with resolve? I should have mentioned that you could have spent a resolve to add plus 2d on that if you'd like. I should. Okay. Let's go ahead and re-roll it, and then we'll remember that in the future.
Okay. 6.
There you go. Even better. So you come out. There's the light is kind of like scintillating all around, and these creatures they're on their knees. They sometimes come up, and they sometimes go down on their face, basically. And when they go down on their face, you move to the statue, like behind the statue, and you are able to backstab this shaman character. So what you're going to do? Let me pull up your guy, guys. I assume you're using short sword.
I was thinking dagger.
Dagger is fine. Okay, so you are going to roll your attack roll. It's a D8. With the backstab, you get a plus 2d on that, so that goes up to a D12.
Oh, geez. Okay. 11.
11 is definitely a hit, and that's a melee critical hit. You're going to get plus 2 damage on this to what you are going to get. So your damage is going to be a 1d5 plus 1. So go ahead and roll a d5.
I roll. Do I round up or down? I forget.
What'd you roll?
I rolled a 3.
A 3. So that'd be a 2.
Okay.
So 2 damage plus 1. I think that's from your agility. So that's 3 plus 2 from your critical. which is 5. You're also going to roll your backstab die, which is a d8.
Right, I will do that. And I get 8, so 13 damage.
Okay, this is not going to be hard. Let's see. And with that, he screams out, and some of the guys that are around there like start hissing, and they see what's going on. Shabaka, it sounded like you wanted to shoot at the shaman. You see
Yes.
that your ally is now in melee, so there may be some danger there if you miss. You might hit.
That's
guys.
perfectly fine. That's what I'm here for.
It's a one shot.
Fire away.
Okay, well, I'm going to take one shot then. Is the attack die in the attack section on my character sheet? Does that already incorporate the bonus from my skirmisher class ability?
Let me just.
Because my ranged attack.
Yes, it does.
Okay, yeah, so it's a D10.
Yes, it does. Mm-hmm.
And is there a way that I can use a resolve point to influence this roll in any way?
Yeah, so you can spend a resolve to boost any action roll, this is like a melee attack or a ranged attack or attribute feat, by plus 2d.
So
you can. I should have mentioned
that would take me to a D14.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep. I should have mentioned for John as well. You can spend resolve to add extra damage too. I should have mentioned that earlier. Sorry.
Can you spend more than one resolve on one turn?
Yeah, you can. You can do a lot. You can do a lot of badassery, actually.
Okay. Well, I'm going to roll a d20 and throw out anything from 15 to 20, right?
Correct.
So d20, and I roll it, and it is a 10.
Okay. Also a critical, plus 2 damage.
Sorry?
That is a critical, so you get plus 2 damage on that. So you're going to get
a 10.
1d8.
A 10 is a critical on a d14?
Anything over a 9 is considered a critical. And the higher your die, the more influential your critical might be.
Okay. So I have hit with a critical, and now I roll damage with it, right?
That's correct. Your damage is 1d8 plus 1 plus 2 from the critical.
So 1d8 plus 3, and I spend another resolve point.
You can, and that allows you to roll an extra damage die.
So we're doing 1d10 plus 3.
No, you're going to roll 2d8 plus 3. That's an extra damage die. Yeah. Like I said, but you can do a lot of badassery with your result. Now.
Oh, I can even put in the plus 3.
I don't even think I mentioned, because we didn't really talk about the rules. As you guys spend resolve, I get Herald, which is the opponent's narrative currency. They can do kind of the same things that you guys do.
Okay, I've programmed this thing to do 2d8 plus 3. I'm hitting roll, and it says 2d8 plus 3 comes 12.
Okay. 12 damage on the... Okay. You fire the arrow that you blessed with your lips. And basically, as this guy has been stabbed in the back, he kind of like starts to turn, and you just put an arrow right through his neck, and he just kind of like goes down gurgling. Well, let's do Salome.
We still got some panic to happen.
Yeah, we got panic. What would you like? You're going to cast your spell, so let's talk about
sorcery. Sorry.
Okay, let's talk about the sorcery.
Yeah.
So every spell is linked to one of your supplemental attributes, like cunning or intuition, etc. Panic is a present spell because you're affecting how people act. So if you look at the top of your spellcasting page, you have a d6 sorcery die.
Yeah.
Your presence, your focus modifier there is a plus 1d. That improves that to a d8. So you're going to roll 1d8. You can spend resolve to improve that if you like, which will move it up to a d12. That's step 1. So roll your sorcery feat.
Part of me, because you were mentioning the peril thing, is a bit nervous of spending more resolve.
I have 3 now. Yeah, I do have 3.
Yeah.
Steve, let me put it this way: it's 9:26. Go for it.
Yeah, totally.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's been there.
Okay. All right. So I'll spend a resolve and make it a D10 or a D12. Sorry.
D12. Yep.
Yep. And I got a 3.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, we can talk about failure then.
Yeah.
So
I like
there
the
are
framework. This gives us the opportunity to discuss failure.
Exactly.
It's a teachable moment.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
So what happens whenever you fail your sorcery feat? The first thing that happens is that your sorcery die degrades by 1. So it will go down to a D5 for the rest of the until you rest. Right. This is how we.
Cool.
Right.
Which is not going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not going to get there. But this is how we manage like spells per day. Right. You'd also have to resist shadow because you have collected kind of like cosmic energy into yourself and screwed it up. Right.
Right.
We don't need to do all that right now, but you would have to do that. So you lose the spell. It doesn't seem to go off for you. Maybe the fox was annoying your feet or something. It was nipping at you a little bit. You can move if you like, or you can stay there. What would you like?
I guess it might make sense for me to take a step back into the shadows if possible. Is that a possibility?
Absolutely.
To kind of like just in case they try to like shoot something back, or
Absolutely. You can definitely step back into like the cave entrance.
Yeah.
All right, Walamir, you get to the bottom of the stairs and you start charging over, and these supplicant burrowers in the earth, they're worms of the earth, kind of like start falling out of the way. And you were dead set on attacking that priest, but you see him go down with an arrow in his throat. So I mean, feel free to do whatever you like.
So yeah, axe held high, ready to take that priest out. I don't know exactly how I want to do the chronology here. You're the GM, but I'm just imagining like I'm ready to swing, and then the arrow just goes boop, and does it. And I'm like, my respect for ability is in conflict with my desire for a moment, and I'm gonna have to resolve this later. That's on me. But in this moment, fuck, he just sort of goes like, oh, and just like throws his axe down and grabs the acolyte strapped to the table, if I may.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, like I said, she was bound a little bit, but you can.
Oh yeah, pardon me. So it's the bad cover art that just shows the woman just lying on the table for some reason.
Yeah, it
There's
was
no
like
actual ropes or anything. I'm just kind of like, well, the cover art says. Pardon me. So what I will actually do. Pardon me?
Okay. I was gonna say you can roll a feat of brawn just to break them if you want.
Yeah, I was gonna say my guy's brawn is his whole jam. So brawn of D10. Let's see what happens.
Dang.
All right, do. Boop. Oh boy, 12-year-old Oliver just cropped up in my head and wants to lie. I'll tell you it's a 10, but more mature publisher Oliver is going to say that was a 3.
Oh no! Okay.
So I'm just so distracted by her beauty.
You are really surprised at the strength of these little things. You guys
I'm going to spend resolve with my special thingy to give you an extra action.
Oh shit! And hey, can I spend a resolve point to give myself a bonus on my, I'm presuming, second attempt to rip out these cords?
Yeah, why not? Let's do that.
All right, so I'm down to 1 point. Again, thank you, Christopher. Your prose benefits me once again. I'm going to roll a d10 and... actually, no, I'm going to roll a d12, right?
14. D14.
Oh, sweet. All right. Give me a second. D14. The roundest of the dice. Anyway, let me... Sorry.
It rolls forever, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, you got to have a dice tray. All right. Okay, there was some improvement here. Some improvement. Got a 5.
Okay. It takes quite a bit to get there. All right, so you grab the cords that are holding her wrist, and your thews stand out. You snap the bonds, and she actually like starts to wake up, but she almost looks like she's been drugged. Like her eyes are like real weird and everything. But you can
stunned with words. They must have been slipping flashcards in front of her.
She has words all over her stomach.
I don't trust
throw her over your shoulder or whatever. I guess.
I'm trying to be respectful. I'm the editor of New Edge Sword and Sorcery. I will respectfully carry her in front of me as an equal rather than over my shoulder.
There you go.
Anyway, I grab her free or for whatever. She'll appreciate it later, and I run.
Awesome. Okay. I mean, it's time. Like I think our time is up. So if we want to
You
do
know what?
this narratively,
If the players are willing to give it another 10 minutes, to maybe get us to a better point of resolution, I'm game.
I actually have to go check on this steer that has pneumonia.
Ah!
I mean,
Oh, no.
I swear to God, it's my.
I believe you. Just like of all the,
absolutely. Let's do it
I've been
narratively, man.
running. I've been running game tables since, like I said, I was 11. That's the new one for me. Thank you, Christopher.
Yes. Let's just
all
say you guys hack your way out of this chamber. The bodies of these little burrowers in the earth are strewn aside, and you make your way out of this tunnel where you are met by a smaller group of cultists without a horse. Actually, the horses must have stepped on some caltropes and is lame. And they would basically be challenging you for Flavia, and they reveal their evil intentions. So you guys can determine how that would happen.
Yeah, no, I assume it would go some way that would flatter Wallimir the most. But no, honestly, like it's okay. We can do the meta thing. We can kind of step back here and be like, all right, us running out of time is no comment on the scenario. I was really enjoying that. I think you guys were too.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a great time.
Yeah,
I really like the dice chain thing.
Yeah,
this was a nice change from my last character, which was 13th Age, 2nd edition. A bard that took me 5 spreadsheets to run properly.
Oh boy! Wow, I've never played that. I don't know anything about that one, but wow,
it's the most complicated class in the game. I did it on purpose. It was fun. But
that sounds like my road trader character. I didn't have spreadsheets, but I had like a little folder with like 10 pieces of paper and a lot, like 7 colors of highlighter, just to try and keep track of all my stuff. So this is pretty sweet. Like me just with a PDF and frankly a can of stout and distracted by my crowdfund. I was able to follow that just fine. So, I think that's a good sign for getting new players on board.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you to everyone who joined. Congratulations to Christopher and Oliver. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, Joseph, you want to stay on for another 10 minutes?
Thank you, audience.
Bye, Christopher. You take care of that steer.
Take care, buddy.
John, before you go, John and Steve, before you go, I just want to really acknowledge to the camera here. John and I were being a little cheeky over in the Discord briefly at one point. We have 3 out of 5 Canadians on here. I just want to say this is good CanCon. For those who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, in Canada, we have somewhat strict rules about the amount of Canadian content we have on our airwaves, and to get.
I don't care about any of this.
Yeah, get out of here, Christopher. You go take care of your Yankee steer. But up here in Canada, we have all these rules about grants for the arts and stuff, and how much Canadian is in a thing, and it's very funny trying to measure how Canadian is this book.
Yes,
is this a play? Is this a poetry slam? I mean, not even just the big stuff like film. So I just kind of find it funny that not only do we have 3 out of 5 Canadians, but 2 of them were wearing checked plaid shirts, which feels like real representation right there.
I almost wore a plaid thing too, but I didn't. I was trying to vibe with the whole sorceress thing.
There you go.
It's all good. I like what you got going on there. It looks like a nice kind of plant pattern situation shirt. And also, I like that chair. That chair feels like CanCon to me. I'm sure this chair is like it all over North America, but
yeah.
Let me tell you, Steve.
It's very. My sister's calling it Nancore.
Yes.
Yes. My family has like a lodge in Pennsylvania, and we have furniture that's almost exactly like that.
Nice.
Yeah, it feels very specific. I mean, I'm being silly. I don't know if it's Canadian specifically, but just it feels of a very specific time and place, which I appreciate.
They're very 70s. Yeah.
80s or whatever. Yeah.
So Joseph, before we get too deep here, because we're going to wrap up soon because I gotta pee. We were so for the folks at home, they've enjoyed this session. They want to know how they can divine arrows too. How would they? I mentioned it at the start, but let's mention it again. How does someone find Reaver? They want to play it. They want to try it out. How do they do
that? So you can find our quick start on either my website, ravengodgames.com, or on DriveThruRPG. I also have another adventure out that is playable with a quick start. It's called The Doom of Virgil. It's kind of inspired by Irish myth. And very soon, within I would say about 4 weeks, I'm going to be running the Kickstarter for the Reaver hardcover, and the landing page for that is available. It's up now. You can find links for it in all the normal places. I'm on Blue Sky, and
also, Joseph, feel free to put that link in the chat, because even when people catch the recording later, they can see the chat on YouTube and they can grab that link. So
yeah, absolutely, I'll do that. Yeah, all the normal places: Discord, Joseph RGG _RGG, Blue Sky, Facebook, etc.
Yeah. And that'll be for like the core rules. Will there be like scenarios as well, or what's the basic shape of that?
So the core book is roughly 352 pages. It's going to be a different size. It's like roughly 7 by 10.
Okay, yeah, so like not quite a digest, but not like the phone book, which we all know from many RPGs. It'll be a
something
bit more
manageable, you know.
Yeah.
It won't have any adventures in it. However, all of the, in kind of like the geography area, all of the areas that are described will have some adventure hooks included.
Right.
And then I have a good handful of adventures like this one we just played. This is called The Dwellers in the Mound. That will be, if we get to the point where I can have some stretch goals, these will be stretch goals. Yeah.
Nice. And you know what? To bring it back around to reading of sword and sorcery fiction, which, as I mentioned, I may have some affection for. So we're all familiar here, but just for anybody who's watching who doesn't know what the hell I meant earlier, the Appendix N is an appendices to the, I want to say, 1979 AD&D Dungeon Master's Guide. Gary Gygax's list of all the authors and a lot of stories that inspired him when co-creating D&D. David Arneson has entered the chat. And honestly, it was a huge inspiration for me when I was getting back into SNS later in life, that led to me ultimately doing the magazine. It's a really influential, I think, reading list. It's really cool. So I'm curious, Joseph, there's no wrong answer. I just want to better understand your position with Reaver. Is in the rule book, is there anything about like the literature, like you mentioned Bram McMorn, is there any kind of connection within the text of Reaver's rule book to like fiction that inspired you when thinking about how the rules would work and all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I have my own appendix in my layout already, so I mean that's a thing.
Okay.
But I mean, yes, anything. I looked at our classic sword and sorcery that we all know, Howard and Walt Wagner. Paul Anderson is a big influence because he did a lot of like pseudo-historical adventure fiction. Love that stuff. But I also include things like The Last Kingdom, like Bernard Cornwell, Simon Scarrow with his Empire, Eagles of the Empire series. Like these are all things that like really kind of hit home with me. And the things that I try to like pull from those are not only like, is this sword and sorcery? Does this feel sword and sorcery? But also, is this gritty? Does this feel like grounded and realistic? Reaver is not really a game. I think Steve could agree with me that it's not a game where magic is going to be like something that you want to do willy-nilly, right? You could totally lose your character.
It's a serious decision to engage in magic.
It can be a very serious business. That said, on the topic of magic, it's very powerful. Matter of fact, you played a Salome who's probably OP. Is probably going to get nerfed a little bit because the familiar is a bit too powerful. But yeah, the magic can be very strong, but it's also really risky. Corruption can be bad. Those kinds of things.
It's really cool.
I mean, I've said before, like whenever I was writing the rules, me and my main playtesters, my close friends, we were always saying, "Does this feel sword and sorcery?" Like even like the attributes, we renamed them because intelligence doesn't sound sword and sorcery; it's cunning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that. Even backstab, I think I'm gonna rename that. I think that's gonna become the Slayer die. That's way cooler.
Yeah. Well, also, Slayer, but yeah. So if I may continue to play podcast host here, I really like what you're saying, and I gotta say, playing the scenario, it felt SNS to me. Certainly, SNS, as I said, and I think the editorial for issue 3, like it can feel kind of like a spectrum. I mean, there's different flavors, obviously, and this felt kind of like maybe like lower fantasy. but which, of course, to some people's eyes, gets us close to grimdark. So my question is this, and this is just for fun to explore your take on genre. Why is this a sword and sorcery role-playing game and not a grimdark role-playing game?
That's a question I've never been asked. I don't know that I have much experience with what people normally consider grimdark. I mean, I've read Joe Abercrombie. I love Joe Abercrombie. I think it's pretty close. I think Reaver could totally do that. Maybe with some tweaks, maybe with some tweaks to the magic, or maybe just some restrictions to the player characters. I think my player characters, the classes specifically, are more heroic than grimdark, in my experience. Maybe not.
I can see that. I can see that. And even just looking at my character sheet and some of the abilities, it's like I could see it, as you say, like with some tweaks. Sure, you could nail a grimdark tone, not too hard, but like there was a sense of like, I don't know. I love sword and sorcery, obviously, and also the jokes aside. And I think one of the key attributes about it that I felt like I picked up in some of the abilities of my barbarian was there's sort of something life-affirming about sword and sorcery, where even if the characters are not necessarily pursuing a heroic end, like they're not trying to save the kingdom, they're not trying to save the priestess, but maybe they're just trying to survive in a dangerous, weird world. But like the energy with which they do it, there's something a little positive about it. There's something a little like, go for it. Maybe it's not going to work out, but go for it, And I like that. I was picking up that kind of just giver vibe in the abilities and the rules, and so that to me it was like, there's sword and sorcery vibe baked in, and
Cool.
obviously I appreciate that.
Thought on this, actually, come to think of it, and then I have to run.
No problem, John. Go for it.
So I was rereading Flame and Crimson, a part of it.
Oh yeah, by Brian Murphy, folks, look it up.
Yeah, talking about the mimetic modes, right? Like you get, your kind of mode where most sword and sorcery kind of lives, where they're superior to others around them, but not to their environment. But they're not like so superior that they're godlike or ultra heroic or whatever. Most of the grimdark I've read is a notch below that. They're not superior to the other people around them, right? Like it's a lower mimetic mode, and obviously, I'm one of those people who believes sword and sorcery, grimdark. There's a ton of overlap. Big old Venn diagram. My own sword and sorcery writing it wobbles around the middle. Like all my people are kind of low mimetic unless under extreme pressure or something, right? Reaver feels, from my limited experience, a little higher mimetic, more centered in kind of the sword and sorcery, but would definitely have the flexibility to go a little more, average schlub with a sword, or surrounded by a world that had you benchmarked that kind of way. I don't know. I'm getting a little sleepy. I really do have to go.
Oh, good job. But thank you for joining us, man. And I followed what you were saying there. It made sense to me.
Fantastic. Joseph, Steve, great to meet you guys.
Likewise.
Take care. See you around.
Okay, take care, man.
Good night, John.
Yeah, good to see you too. Bye.
See you, buddy.
Hello, Atlantic Canadian.
Steve, do you have any closing thoughts on the game, on SNS, on your experience?
I really, really enjoyed this. I thought it was good. I'm sorry I was kind of quiet for bits of it or not. I don't know.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Like, if we were all loudmouths like me, and it wouldn't work very well. So it's all good.
Yeah. I think I was a bit nervous because this is the first time I've done a role-playing thing live. Well, not live, but in front of an audience, I guess. Who weren't also participating.
Can I tell you a secret? Me too. I was silly nervous.
Oh, damn, Joseph, really?
Yeah, I've done one. I've done a demonstration that was recorded, but it wasn't live. Yeah.
Ah, gotcha.
Really good, man. Like I
you were really good. Yeah.
Oh,
I love the.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
The atmosphere when we got into the cave and everything, like the horror-y bits, there's sort of a little bit of cosmic horror there and stuff, and it was all really well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, so very excited. I think Uri, the whole grimdark sword and sorcery thing. I wrote it in the private chat, but also this is Dante's friend Virgil just jumped up.
Hey.
Oh, cheers.
It's a pretty cat.
Yeah, he's very affectionate, but he's terrified of everybody who isn't me or my partner.
That sounds like my cat, actually.
Yeah, I grew up with a cat like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I I was having a conversation with my supervisor earlier last year, or late last year, I guess, 2024, just about sort of like grimdark and cozy and all of these kinds of things, and like what is actually meant by that, because people often mean something totally different. And also what was classified as grimdark like 10 or 15 years ago is very different from what people are classifying as grimdark now. Like I remember, well, even then, like arguments over is like A Song of Ice and Fire grimdark, and I was like, no, like to my mind it wasn't. But nowadays it's sort of like, if anything bad at all happens, sometimes people will just call it grimdark. It's like fantasy where bad things can happen. And so like one of the things he said that I actually really kind of like is this idea of it as like almost a tonal thing, that you can kind of have a sliding scale of it, right? So like you can have sword and sorcery that is grimdark to a greater or lesser degree, or like I guess cozy sword and sorcery to a greater or lesser degree, the same as anything else, right? So it's sort of, or a spectrum, I guess, if you want to imagine it that way. So I like that kind of tonal approach. But even then, I think it's going to be highly subjective, like what you define as a grimdark tone at all, right? And what makes that tone, what creates it. Yeah.
No, I dig that very much, Steve. If you haven't read it already, bug me and I'll send you the EPUB or PDF or whatever for issue 3 of NESS. Because my editorial, I wasn't even trying to get there. You write something, you don't know the destination, just the subject matter. And by like the third column of the page, I was writing about like, man, SNS is like an omnidirectional spectrum, and I started exploring it from that point of view. So like, yeah, I hear you, man. Yeah, I should send you that. You probably get a kick out of that. Awesome. Well, again, Steve, thank you so much. And for anybody watching, now or later, please know that you will get to enjoy A Sword and Sorcery Tale by Steve in either issue 5 or 6. I have not fully finished my game of Table of Contents Tetris. Actually, I have with you, Steve. I put your name on one of the covers. God, Oliver. I think you're on 6. I put you on 6 because Western Raw and Wayland, and I was like, that's 2 W's. Okay, I think that's legal. I think it's okay. The cops won't come for me for 2 W's. So issue 6, you get to be hidden within Goran Gligovic's woman bursting out of snake.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
It's fun too, because it's because for the postcards, which for anybody watching, all backers get a postcard with the art from issue 5, and then I might be flipping it, but check the crowdfunding page. First 48-hour backers get the issue 7, I want to say, and return backers. You prepare backers before in any project, you get issue 6 with the snake. I had to get a name for each piece of art, because on the back of the postcard I want to do that classic thing where you have like the title of the piece of art and the name of the artist and so on. And so I was like, Goran, what do we call Snake Explodey Lady here? And he was like, I don't know, man. And I was like, well, Nathan Long, who has recently joined the Discord, bless him, said he described it as "ta-da!" exclamation mark. And so I ran that by Goran, and he was like, all right.
It's pretty excellent, I've got to say. Also, it's actually quite appropriate for my story, so like it's kind of excellent.
Awesome. All right, so Steve, is there any last thoughts you want to say before you run off to the Maritimes there?
No, I had a really great time, and thank you for having me. I guess, should I say where you can find me, that kind of stuff?
Pardon me. Yeah, so if anybody wants to check out Steve's writing,
it exists. It's on the computer.
Steve's hard drive, and you want, sorry.
Yeah. So I'm Steve Westenra, or Steve Hugh Westenra, I can't remember, on Blue Sky. If you search me, I'm sure I'll come up. I run some like fun SFF chat things. Unfortunately, lately it's a lot of like politics and stuff like that, but it's important stuff. Like I do talk about politics and stuff, but I also talk a lot about writing, which, shockingly is also political, no matter what anyone says.
Absolutely.
And I did bring a copy of my book to put there.
Oh, nice. That's the newest one, right?
Very cool.
Is that your latest title, right?
Yeah, it's the only one available in hard copy, so it's the one that I picked to like hold up. Yeah, so this one is my horror comedy. It's kind of like campy, but also serious and about lots of stuff. There's a fun picture in the opening that I like. There we go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
No, I always love art like that, like a gateway piece of art where you see the title and then it's like, okay, now the movie begins, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. If you're more into epic fantasy, I also have an epic fantasy, The Wings of Astaroth, which you can get any copy of. Yeah, and that's it.
And
That's,
don't
that's
you
me.
also have, I've lost track a little bit. I'm sorry, my brain is so addled by this point at
Yeah.
crowdfund. I have an IQ of about 12, but do you not also have a sort of Viking situation going on? And I can't remember if it's coming or is out.
It is coming technically. I got kind of like, I don't know, like in my own head, I guess, about it. Like, is it worth putting out? Like, do I want to be putting anything out? Like, so yeah, I need to work on it more to, complete the paperback formatting and that kind of stuff for it, because I like to
Okay,
put a
well, no pressure, but I will just say to the people here, in case you later hear about a Steve, Viking thing, and you're like, hey, I think I heard about that on Livestream.
Oh, yeah,
It was reading a sample of that. I mean, I read other stuff too, but it was a reading
did,
sample of
yeah.
that ultimately convinced me. I was like, I want to get a Steve Western SMS tale in New Excellent Sorcery.
Oh,
So take that what you will, viewers,
Thank you.
now and future. But that's my endorsement as editor,
Thank you.
tastemaker, whatever. But yeah. All right, Steve, I'm going to remove you from the stage for now. But again, thank you so much for joining
Yeah.
us. And
Thank you.
you and I will
Thank
be
you again.
chatting,
Nice to
over
meet
at
you.
Edits, yeah.
Nice to meet you too. Really great. Yeah,
Thank you.
fantastic
Nice,
game. Thank you.
Yeah, Joseph. So I did not know this was your first time running a game online. I think that's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not just blowing smoke up your butt because we're on stage. I'm a guy who for 4 years I ran game demos at a comic shop while I was earning my bachelor degree. And since then I have done a few more demos in other contexts. And I thought you did a really good job. I would never have guessed it was your first time.
Oh yeah, it's
very
totally
very confident. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
And good descriptions too, because I always find that hard when you're running games. It's like, do you want to get too much in describing like, every fucking inch of lace in the guy's outfit, or or do you want to just be like, oh, you go down a corridor and this is a room and there's a monster, and then
Right.
all of a sudden you're like, well, hang on, crap, why am I doing a role playing game? We can do a video game where you just say there's a room that's 10x10. So like, I thought you used the medium well, is my point. I particularly enjoyed knowing the limestone in the cave, which is a small detail, but it gets you there. It gets you there.
Yeah, it's those little things, I think, just in general, like even in like fiction that you read or whatever, it's like, you don't have to lay everything out. I mean, can I say it, George R.R. Martin style? It can be a little bit lighter, and it's really good.
To me, it's always about finding the right details, just something that gets you in there. Like, I mean, I really like just knowing that the openings of the cave was 5 feet high. All of a sudden, I'm thinking physically. I'm thinking about, well, I'm 6'2". That's a son of a bitch. If I'm going to go inside there, so I'm with my character. A common note I give on stories when I edit them is I say, can we get something other than sight and sound in there? Can we get physicality in there? Can we get something like trying to fit into that 5 foot tall opening, or get something with smell? I think these are all good things for transforming the evening into like something more evocative and getting the players in there. So yeah, good on you, man. So yeah, I mean you've given us the where to find it, and we've been chatting all night. So I guess at some point this has to end. But just thanks again for bringing this to us and giving us something fun to do tonight that isn't just me going, so there's a crowdfund. I don't know if you've heard.
What are you up to? What are you up to right now?
Actually, let me check, because during the game, I mean, I admit I did peek, but I was paying attention. We are at $19,084 with 291 backers. We have 30 days left, and we're trying to hit 28,000 at a minimum. Oh, pardon me, I forgot to refresh. Let's renew. Pardon me, rewind. $19,392 from, so that's not $400 more or less. 294 backers, 30 days left. And that's feeling good. I'm feeling like we're fun. But of course, the big one for me is always like, let's get that double art, let's get that shipping discount, and get as many pay raises for our creators as possible, because that's a pleasure. All right, Joseph, I'm gonna boot you off the stage, but I'm gonna say thank you very much.
Thank you again.
I just really appreciate it. And you'll be off stage, but you'll still be in the call. Before you leave the call, put the link that you want people to follow the most into the chat. And folks, check the chat for that link.
I would say I was trying to do that, and they're failing for some reason. So I might
links. What?
Yeah, okay, I might have to do it after you upload it, or after.
Okay, yeah. Worst case scenario, well, it'll be automatically saved on our YouTube channel, so I'll link you, and you can put it in the comments if all else fails. But anyway, whatever, folks. Google Reaver RPG, Google Ravenclaw Games, Google Joseph RGG. You're gonna find something. Even if you have to go through a bad AI answer first. All right, Joseph. Again, thank you so much for your time and your energy. Really appreciate it, man. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Cheers. All right. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of the end of the stream, really. All I'm going to say is, again, thank you all for watching, whether now or later. Thank you so much for backing, for sharing, for telling, your favorite online community. If you know people who are really into SNS, or they're really into fantasy at large, if they're really into gaming, obviously, I hope we've demonstrated tonight there's a heavy overlap between the interests of the gaming community and sword and sorcery. Yeah, please help spread the good word. We've got 30 days to get this sucker as far as we can, so we can unlock that art. We can unlock other fun things. We've already unlocked 2 bonus stories, right? If you go to Blue Sky, you go to our account on Blue Sky, and you find the launch day post we have. It's very clearly marked. You'll see it's got the snake lady popping out and all that stuff. If you share that, the more it gets shared, the more bonus stories we unlock to put inside the issues. We've already unlocked 2 out of 3. We're going to have a bonus story in the Sword and Planet issue with by Daryl Keogh. We're going to have a bonus story in issue 5 or 6, we'll see, by Bryn Hammond, previous year's NESS superstar, along with Daryl. And then, you know what? If you get up to 200 shares on that post, you can make the lazy editor, write a story. I'll have to write something that will go in issue 5 or 6, whichever one Bryn doesn't go into. So yeah, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff. Please go to Backer Kit, Notice Sword and Sorcery, check it out. Yeah, I think I've talked long enough. So again, thank you all for your time, and please join us on the next few weeks of fun and frivolity with sword and sorcery of a new edge variety. Good night.